Join discord.gg/flat earth and enter a VC check-in room, and someone will come along to VC verify you to get involved with the conversation about our earth.
Tehconda versus tehconda. Credit to Heretic for the name.
With support from Crazinable.
Tehconda, is that, am I saying that right? VC verified, I don't know other rules. Anybody want to? Tehconda, you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Hello, I'm Gregory. Pleased to meet you.
Hi. I go by Tehconda.
Are you, do you believe that the Earth's spinning ball in the cosmic vacuum?
I'm just listening in.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I'm just curious what your position is.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not to be rude or anything, but like we would like an answer to the question. It's okay, regardless of what stance you're on. Everyone's welcome here. It's okay to listen as well. But what is your stance on the matter?
Seems like it's round.
Enemy spotted. That's fine.
When you say "seems like," based on what exactly?
Mostly based on the movement of celestial bodies. Doesn't seem like it would work on a flat plane.
Wait.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we could dissect that in a couple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you mean by flat plane? I kind of would want you maybe to expand on that. A lot of people say like, oh, it doesn't work on flat. It can't be flat, not flat. And I'm often curious what they mean when they say flat. Because oftentimes it doesn't seem to align with what we're presenting here. They seem to have their own ideas of what a flat earth should or would or could be. And we often disagree with that. So do you think you could maybe present this version of flat that you're talking about?
Well, I see two possible flat models. One where...
I think that probably would be the issue, but go ahead.
One where the sun circles above the Earth, kind of like it circles above the equator, moves to the Tropic of Cancer and then moves outwards in a spiral. That would explain seasons, but that would require a spotlight, and that just doesn't seem like what I observe. The other model would be where the sun travels over the sky, across the sky, and then down beneath the Earth, and that doesn't seem like it's possible because I know there's light in China when it gets dark for me, so neither one of those seem possible.
Well, what if we told you neither one of those ideas are the flat Earth?
It would be quite a stretch for me to come up with any other possibility.
Well, that's the good news, brother. You don't have to come up with ideas. We're just simply dealing with the Earth outside as it presents itself.
Yeah,
so
right outside.
Exactly. You should be careful about saying, like, well, the sun would require this and that and the other. Like, the sun should do this or should do that. I mean, you might disagree, but I don't think people know what the sun is. So we shouldn't be saying, well, it should do this and it should do that and it would require this or that. So personally, I'm a little bit more careful about that. But what do you think about that? Because like the surface of the Earth could be doing really anything, and then the things in the sky could be doing anything. We're really dealing with what the Earth is. So what you described, I guess, is understandable. I can understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't really point at the Earth itself. We're describing things in the sky moving around. You know what I'm saying? That could be possible on any type of Earth, I suppose. So flat would just be the description of the surface.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So with the mention of the celestial bodies, right, just like CB said to you, when you appeal to the celestial bodies, logically what is happening in the argument, because I hope that you're attempting to give an argument, and in the argument, what you are doing is you are interpreting. Everyone interprets. Interpretation is never, the interpretation is necessarily required to have knowledge. So I'm not repudiating you for having an interpretation. That's not the point. It's not bad in and of itself to have an interpretation. You need interpretation in order to have knowledge. When you give the argument, you are interpreting the empirical data, because we're working with the same empirical data. All right. I hope you
Yeah.
can agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. We're working with the
Yes.
same data set. We're interpreting that data set in two different ways with whatever number of premises, at least one or more premises, through
Yes.
which we interpret that empirical data. Now, I just want to establish that because a lot of the times when the globe earther, as we call them, makes the argument, very often they don't appreciate that logical and linguistic fact. Right? So we have to establish that. Now, it is just as valid, and cosmologists throughout the 20th century up to the early 21st century that you and I exist now in, they acknowledge this, that the quote-unquote Ptolemaic or Aristotelian geocentric model is just as coherent to account for the motion of the celestial bodies as is the so-called globe model. All right, be it Copernicus or whatever other landmark historical scholar that affirmed the globe model. Both logically, in principle, coherently account for the data. Okay, so all that says is that they're logically consistent with those in principle. That's all that says. The next question is, which do we empirically detect? Right?
Yeah.
What we empirically detect is that the Earth is stationary, and that the Earth has a flat, level, topographical plane surface, and the celestial bodies are moving. And logically, that will require that the celestial bodies are moving above the surface of the topographical plane. That's logically coherent in principle, and that's what we empirically detect. The former, or rather, the globe model, is what we don't empirically detect. We don't directly empirically detect the supposed curvature of the Earth's surface, or the supposed spin of the Earth, or the supposed motion of the Earth through a cosmic vacuum, or the cosmic vacuum itself.
I've got some disagreements with all that, but firstly, I just want to say I'm not talking about whether or not the Earth is spinning or moving. Just focus on one thing at a time, whether or not the Earth is round or flat. And,
Okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So with that question, when I go outside, for instance, be it when my feet are touching the ground, or when I'm in a commercial airliner flying at the average height that a commercial airliner flies, I don't see curvature of the Earth. And then you look furthermore at the work of other persons that have gone higher than the average flight height of a commercial airliner, and you still don't see any convex or concave curvature no matter how high you go.
Sure. My point would be that I would rely mostly on my own senses. I have kind of like a scale on things that I attach weight to. Things that I have seen myself have the most weight. Things that other people say they have seen, but I could then potentially check for myself. If it's something that I can do for myself, I put a little more weight into that, a little more stock. If it's something like, oh, NASA produced this photo of the Earth, if I were a flat earther, I'd completely disregard it too. I'm like, I can't go to space, so I'm going to disregard that. So
it's not entirely being disregarded, just thrown
not
away.
Not entirely. But, I would take things with a grain of salt, and the bigger the more difficult for it to be for something that I can observe for my own is the bigger the grain of salt that I would take, with what someone else says they have seen or haven't seen.
Cool.
Don't throw it out.
What have you seen that you put a lot of weight in?
Oh, well, my own observation, like if I look at the sun or the moon, that they do not get smaller. They seem to stay the same angular size, which any other object that I have seen, if a car drives away from me, there is a calculatable amount that if it goes from 100 feet away and it drives to 200 feet away from me, it is
a car.
half its angular size.
we did start off by saying that like you don't know what the sun is, so we shouldn't be
Okay.
saying what it should or would or could be doing. But also, you also said let's talk about like the surface of the Earth, whether it's rounded or it's
Mhm.
flat. So looking up in the sky isn't going to help you get to that conclusion.
I don't think.
What people often do is they try to
Yeah.
apply their observations to some type of model, and it seems like that's what
Yes.
the line of. See, that's where I think that's where your issue comes in. The Earth isn't a model, and there's no model you can apply things to. And we're just dealing with the Earth outside. You can actually go test the surface to find out if it's rounded or not. Looking up at the sun and interpreting like, well, if I picture a flat Earth and try to make it work on that, it doesn't work in my mind. That doesn't really verify what the surface is doing. So that's what we do is go out and test the surface of the Earth. So, and again, the sun
Yeah.
doesn't really lead to the surface necessarily.
I hear where you're coming from. I'm sure, but
So why don't we go and like test the
Okay,
surface?
well then you'll understand. You'll understand your fallacious reasoning then if you understand. Well done.
No.
What about something about the surface then? Why don't we talk about something along?
Let's get back to the surface.
Yeah,
the
well, that's
surface-
because you said you wanted to talk about whether it's
Well,
rounded or not. So
it's
get to that.
difficult. It's difficult to detect curvature on the surface. If the ball were sufficiently large, it would appear relatively flat.
Well, remember, it's not. We're not just observing, just flapping our eyelids. When I said test the Earth, right? So if it is, if we are ants on a big beach ball and we test the surface, then it has to be curved. It has to be rounded, regardless of how it appears. So of course, we all live on the same Earth. In tech, you might look out at the Earth and say, "Well, I think it's round," and we'll look out at the Earth and say, "We think it's flat." So we don't just go with observation. We have to go to the next step and test what we see. Do you think we can do something like that?
Nakanda, look at the voice text chat.
Oh,
when you pay
sorry.
attention to this.
I haven't been paying attention to it. What do we got?
So you see at the bottom of voice text chat, everyone just don't type for a moment. Just let him focus on this.
Oh, yes. The
You see?
two big ships go over the curve.
Now, either you have an argument or you don't. So what is your argument to reconcile this?
That's a good question. I
Hey,
don't
listen.
really think about it that much. I don't look at the horizon and think I can see curvature. It looks flat when I look at the horizon, but I also consider myself to be relatively small compared to the size of the Earth.
You need to. You're not just looking at the horizon.
Yeah.
We're talking about going away from you.
hmm
Now you see, so with this argument that in this image, and
Yes.
then you cordially conceded that you don't yet have an answer for this. Perhaps you do,
Well,
perhaps you don't.
Let's try to work it out a little bit, okay? The Earth is too big to see.
I know.
Right.
So-
that would suggest horizontal curvature. Like when you look at the horizon, should it curve horizontally?
You're not going to be able to condescend your way out of this. You're not. You're.
Oh, hold on,
apparently-
Hang on, hang on. We don't need
We're not
to.
there yet.
We've been having this. We've been having this conversation for years now. We don't need to intensify the hostility whatsoever.
I would
I'm
agree.
really not trying to condescend. I'm just trying to define our terms. There's
Not
curvature
you.
horizontally, and there's curvature going away from me. Right.
Give me a moment. Give me 30 seconds. Let me find something for you.
hmm
Now, firstly, you said horizontal curvature. That's a contradiction in terms.
Right.
So there's that. If you still maintain the Earth is curving, this is the logical implication.
Yes.
Now, I thought the concluding premise that you were trying to support was that we live on a sphere or a kind of oblate spheroid, the way Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson describes. But by this reasoning, as you can see illustrated in the image, this would logically, geometrically imply that the Earth is shaped cylindrically, like a cylinder, like a roll of toilet paper, or empty roll of toilet paper.
I would say, how much horizontal curvature would you expect to see when you view the
Well, again,
horizon?
horizontal curvature, I would expect to see none because that's geometrically absurd and impossible. That's a contradiction in terms.
Oh, you know what I mean.
I mean, if I do know what you mean, then my critique stands, unless you mean something else other than what you said.
I mean that if I'm standing as an observer height of 6 feet above a ball that is 25,000 miles in circumference, what amount of curvature from the left field of my vision to the right field of my vision, how much curvature should I see?
Yeah.
I can get a citation. I've got a citation for you, actually, because there's a video called How the Horizon Works from maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And he describes basically what you were saying. For a 6-foot observer, distance to the horizon would be about 3 miles. But he says in this video that the curvature left to right and front to back is visible. So I'm going to try to dig this video out. Oh, here it is. Let me just throw it in the bot real quick. We'll take a quick listen. It's only 90 seconds long. And you can react to it once it's finished.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Josh Clark, and this is Brain Stuff, and I'm here to answer a very pressing question. Have you ever been standing at the edge of water, say like an ocean, and looked out on the horizon and said, I wonder exactly how far away that horizon is? You know, where the sky meets the sea, that's the horizon. Well, it turns out because the Earth is curved that it depends on where you're standing and how far above water you're standing. Let's say that you are in the water, right? And you're up to, say, your eyes are about 8 inches above the water's surface. Well, again, remember the Earth is curved, and despite the ocean seeming flat, they actually curve themselves, which if you've ever really looked at the horizon, it kind of goes like this a little bit, which is pretty cool. But it also goes like this.
All right, I'm just going to pause it there. I'll replay it. I just want to, because for the people that are listening on YouTube or are not able to watch the video, I did drop a link in the chat. When he says it goes like this, but it also goes like this, he's basically making kind of a curved motion left to right, as to say, you know, your left to right curve. And he's also saying it curves like this front to back. And so let's continue.
Right? So if your eyes are 8 inches above the water, right then you're about a mile away from that horizon point where the sky meets the ocean as far as you can tell. If you're standing up above water and you're like I am, about 6 feet tall, that means your eyes are about 5.5 feet above the water's edge, which means that you're about 3 miles away from the horizon. Isn't that amazing? Going from 8 inches above water, 5.5 feet above water, is the distance between 2 miles between you and the horizon. Mind-blowing, if you ask me.
There you go. Did you disagree with anything in the video so far?
I think the horizon's a little more complicated. What I see might not actually match exactly the geometry as described, and that's due to refraction.
Wait,
you've mentioned this retort multiple times.
Before we get into that, because I just wanted to get an answer to the question. Is there anything in that video that you disagree with?
Well, he just answered it. He said, then he gave that answer.
It's very general and very basic. It doesn't take into account refraction.
Well,
okay, so with that being said, right, you appeal to refraction to logically account for the empirical data given your cosmological paradigm. Now, again, remember I talked about having a a priori syntheses through which you interpret the empirical data. No. Because now what you're doing is you are giving, at best, some sort of rebuttal to account for the empirical data before you. And the empirical data before you does not show you any curvature of anything. Like you just told me earlier, the horizon is flat, it's level, it's not curving. Right? So now, in order to maintain grip of the supposed curvature of the Earth, you have to what? You have to give some sort of skepticism or some sort of doubt as to how much curvature a 6-foot height observer would see, given the supposed size of the ball. Right. Now, with that point, that is only a point that is theoretically, at best, it is only theoretically logically consistent, but not empirically detected. You see, because that is a concession. When you argue that way, that is a concession that you don't empirically detect the curvature.
I understand.
If you did, then you wouldn't have to argue that way.
That's true. And
Right.
that's why I don't base my belief that the Earth is round based on what I see on the horizon. It's based on, other factors. So
Let me ask you about
that's where
that.
the tests come in. Remember, we're not just flapping our eyelids at the horizon. You can
right, if you want to
those
test,
claims.
if you want to test the horizon, you can tell me how we can test the horizon. But I don't see much use in it.
Wait, but the claim is that the horizon is doing X. So why would they claim
I'm
it if
not
it's
making
not?
that. I'm not making that claim.
Wait, well, hold on, brother. We're not waiting for you to make that claim. It's already been made. It's on the table.
Oh,
the globe
yeah,
is claimed to be a specific size, and so it's like we're not waiting for you to claim how big the Earth is. It's already that claim's on the table for everyone to address.
Mhm.
So it's okay if you don't say it. It's already basically been said. But they're saying that the horizon is important, that the horizon is curved, and can be tested at a certain distance away from you. So it's just interesting that that's the original claim on the table, and then once that gets rebutted, people come in and say, "Well, I don't think the horizon is really that important. You shouldn't really use it." Well, the claim is that the horizon is a geometric physical curve of the Earth. So why relinquish that claim after it's been rebutted? It's almost like people have forgotten what they're supposed to be arguing for, which is that geometric physical curve of the Earth.
Every single
I mean, you have two options.
every single globe chart shows an exact amount of vertical drop, elevation drop, and on the side angles. So that's an amount of slope. So we have an exact amount of elevation drop. Why didn't they include refraction? Why are they still publishing that then?
And I will add just quickly, really interesting. Like when I first joined like the flat Earth discussion, it was all about the horizon. And the Team Globe was basically saying the horizon is the geometric location. Ideally, you could go plant a flag in it. That's where the curve is, etc. And one of the responses or rebuttals I would hear from the flat earthers as well, there's things you have to account for, such as your observer height, weather that day, refractive conditions.
Yeah.
So, but it's just interesting now, like all of a sudden, the flat earthers rebuttal, and one of the reasons why the horizon does what it does was refraction, and somehow the globers have stepped behind what the flat earthers were saying all that time ago. Like, well, there's refraction. So, well, now you've let go of the original claim, which that the horizon is geometric in a physical location.
No, it seems optical.
Well,
So then, with all this being
that's
said,
been our argument from the get-go. It's an optical phenomenon, not a physical geometric.
That goes to show that there is merit to proceeding from inquiry instead of just making claims without testing them. That's true.
right?
Welcome
But
to
of course,
Flat Earth.
the conclusion that we're pressing toward is that the empirical data, beyond any shadow of reasonable doubt, indicates that we live on a topographical plane, not a topographical curving surface.
I still think there's more data to suggest that we're on a globe.
But well,
Okay,
we can get into
let's
that.
one thing
We
at a
can get
time.
into
One
that.
thing at a
Yeah,
time.
one thing at a time. Right, exactly. Well, when you say the horizon is
So-
optical, you I mean, not to sound offensive, but you sound like a flat earther. That's what we've been saying from the jump.
Right.
So
But
don't forget what you're supposed to be arguing for, though.
No, but I base that on the fact that on some days the horizon looks further away than others from the same exact
That's
vantage point.
our point, though, friend. You're sounding more and more like a flat earther as you go along down this path. Just you got to keep in mind what the original argument is.
Okay, well,
That it's not optical, and it's a geometric curve of the Earth. That should be your argument. But when you say things like, "Well, it's optical," there's refraction. It's like you sound like you're relinquishing that claim, and you're agreeing with us, because that's been our point from like day one.
yeah, but if you can't tell how far away the horizon is, then you can't really.
Of course you can.
You got bad notes, dude.
Of course you can. That's where we have things like when you go out to to water, you have certain markers that you can use to detect how far away the horizon is. So you can. You don't just blindly looking out over the ocean.
You're right. I misspoke. What I meant to say was that on one day, from the same vantage point, the horizon might look like it's 3 miles away. On a different day, it might look like it's 5 miles away.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Wouldn't you say that's the issue?
Flat packing
that
yourself.
premise you're appealing to is defeating your position. That doesn't protect your position. The premise that you're appealing to in the attempt to protect your position is the premise that we appeal to refute your position. Because your position necessarily implies that if the Earth was all, then the horizon will not move here, there, and everywhere by several miles. But it does. Therefore, the horizon is not the fixed, supposed visual edge of a sphere.
Listen, if I'm 6 feet above the my eye level 6 feet above the horizon, okay, I have to look down a certain amount. Just if the horizon's 3 miles away, the angle that my eyes look down, it's 1/2 of 1/10 of 1 degree. Half of a tenth of 1 degree. The angle from eye level down to the horizon is such a shallow angle that detecting something like that is very difficult, but it's also prone to refractive properties of the atmosphere.
What is this last rebuttal supposed to refute?
I was going to say, it seems a little bit non sequitur.
I'm saying that if on one day the horizon looks like it's 3 miles away, and on a different day with a different temperature and humidity, it looks like it's a different. I'm suggesting, why bother even using the horizon as the method of determining the shape of the Earth?
So you're trying to invalidate the appeal to the horizon. That's what you're trying to do.
Remember what the original claim is. You guys, it's so interesting how this happens. Matthew Learns did this a lot. Remember, let's just reset the table, okay? The original claim is that the horizon is a geometric physical curve of the Earth. That's the claim on the table, okay? So then the flat earthers come in and form rebuttals to that claim. Then the globe earthers go, well, I don't think the horizon really should be used as the blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, now you're just letting go of the original claim. Your original premise, you've basically dropped it on the floor and forgot about it. Matthew Lawrence would do this all the time. I don't think the horizon should be used. Well, remember, that's the original claim. So do you disagree with the original claim? Or why would you let go of the original premise? That the curve of the Earth is the horizon is the physical curve of the Earth.
And that's logically necessitated. That's what they have to do. Tehconda, that's what you have to do, logically.
Right.
So you have premise A and premise B. Premise A is that the Earth is a ball, and so the Earth is a curving surface. And then you have premise B, that the horizon indicates that the Earth is a sphere or that it's a topographical level plane. Now, if you wish to maintain the former premise, then you have to appeal to the horizon with some other a priori set of premises, right? You have to interpret that data through that premise that you wish to maintain grip on, that the Earth is a sphere, or you have to invalidate the appeal to the horizon. Now, what usually people do is that they try to invalidate the appeal to the horizon to prevent the flat earthers from successfully substantiating their position by appealing to that. But it doesn't work for the globers. The glober can invalidate the appeal to the horizon for the flat earther, but doesn't do it for all people, including themselves. And so that's logically inconsistent, of course. If it's invalid for the flat earther to appeal to the horizon as being a valid and legitimate datum point to substantiate their position about what the supposed geometric surface of the Earth is, then that's also true for the globe earther. If it's invalid for the flat earther to appeal to the horizon, it's also invalid for the globe earther to appeal to the horizon.
Right.
Those are your two options. So all this time that we were taught in school that you see the horizon is indicative that that's the edge of the sphere, and then when we can't see the ships behind or upon the water anymore, that indicates that the that indicates that the surface of the Earth, which is curving, is blocking our ability to see it.
Yeah.
So that doctrine has been so given this pattern of thought, that doctrine has been falsely taught for decades. Given this pattern of thought, now again, if you let the validity of the appeal to the horizon remain, then appealing to the horizon is refuting the globe Earth position, because the horizon, in principle, by definition, semantically, and what we empirically detect is that it is not curving; it is flat.
Ah, yes. I see where you're getting at, and that's where I am avoiding the appeal to the horizon. I don't want to come across as trying to have my cake and eat it too, where yes, on some days the horizon looks like it's at 3 miles, and then on other days it looks like it's at 6 miles, and it's just because of refraction. But that seems to be the case.
You're misunderstanding the cake and having it too argument, pal. If the Earth is a 3959 spheroid, that's what you're here to defend, correct?
I would start with whether or not the Earth is round or flat. We can determine its size. We can determine if NASA's been to the moon. We can determine all the other stuff later.
Okay, but there's only one story. You don't get to make up your own story. So if the Earth is 3959 spheroid,
why can't I proceed from inquiry? Why can't I be zetetic?
What he's saying is that what he's saying is that this is I have a meme called like BYOB, right? You've heard of like bring your own booze. Well, you can't bring your own ball. As I said before, the claim's already on the table. You said their Earth was claimed to be the size of like a circumference of roughly 25,000 miles.
Yeah.
So you can't bring your own
he can
ball.
defend his own doctrine as he pleases.
Sure.
He doesn't have to subscribe to the mainstream paradigm.
What
do you want to defend is the question, Tehconda.
No,
do you want to defend the mainstream paradigm as we read in the Google results?
Hold on, Greg. I just wanted to finish my point really quickly. Is that you can't bring your own globe to the table. There's already a globe claim on the table that we're addressing. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I went to Google and looked up like how to prove the globe, and a lot, the horizon it seems to be a big thing they like to appeal to. So we're trying to address that claim, and it seems like you're just trying to discredit the claim a little bit on you, Greg.
If you're thinking that the Earth is some vague marshmallow that you don't want to talk about, you don't get to pontificate about the geometric horizon or the apparent horizon, or it's just no thanks.
Okay, well let's focus. Let's focus. So, Tehconda, what is your position that you're trying to defend? What thesis, what conclusion are you trying to defend?
Okay, we can start with
So wait, can we get a concession on the horizon thing before we move on?
Well, no, we're not moving on. We're trying to establish what his position has been the whole entire time.
Based on the horizon. So, okay, go ahead.
Right.
All right, sorry, go ahead. I was misunderstanding you.
Okay, well, again, I start from the position that if the Earth were really, really big, the horizon would look pretty flat. So I don't base my position on whether the Earth is round or flat, because it would look flat regardless.
Well, Tech, remember, brother, we did address that like a couple times already at this point. It's not just looking. We're at the point of testing the claim.
The only way to test, if
I was a glober, I would also agree that the horizon looks flat. So it's okay to say it's okay. That's we've already addressed that. So we're moving past just looking stage into the testing stage.
Oh,
go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, if that is your conclusion, right? I asked you, what is your conclusion? You said that. Right, so if that is your conclusion, then there's no further need to dispute that. I immediately concede that if the given object is of sufficient size, then it will appear, the surface thereof will appear flat, given the limits of our field of view. There's no need to dispute that.
But we're not sitting here saying, well, it looks flat, so therefore it is. So I hope you understand that as well. So, and I wouldn't say that you saying, well, it looks flat is a debunking of your position as well. So that's why we have to move past just looking stage. So I hope you can keep that in mind so we don't have to repeat that a third time.
That's understandable. I just feel that even testing to the distance of the horizon is dependent on the refractive properties of the atmosphere. And I feel that it is a true statement, because on some days the horizon appears further than on other days.
But listen to what you said, though. But listen to what you said. Do you see that if the Earth is a sphere, then in your field of view, the horizon would be the edge of that sphere?
Yeah, and you would be able to locate it and be able to judge its you would be able to judge its distance accurately if we had no atmosphere. But I believe that the atmosphere does, on certain days, produce mirages. It produces refractive distortions.
Sure. But listen, what
But you're
Greg is
slipping
getting at
between
is
two
the
different
physicality.
positions.
Exactly, Greg. We're on the same page here, Greg. We're talking about the physical part of the Earth that it's claimed to be. In the same way that if you claimed you were 6 foot, well, there has to be 72 inches there, regardless of like what glasses you're wearing, or if you have rose-colored glasses on, if you're looking through an atmosphere and all this stuff. The physical part of you has to be what it's claimed to be. So that's what we're trying to address. They're claiming that the horizon is the physical curve of the Earth, regardless of optical or where you are. If you're laying down, if you're in the sky, the horizon is supposed to be the hump curve, the physical geometric sagitta of the Earth. So we're trying to address that. So coming up with reasons why it's not there and you can't see it isn't really backing up or supporting that original claim that we're trying to get you to stick to.
But I believe on some days you can see it. I just
let's go right into that. So
okay,
let's go right into that. Well, first you said that you'd have to have no atmosphere. So is there a no atmo day or something?
No, it depends on the temperature and humidity, and again, because it varies so much, I wouldn't rely on it. I don't know if it's a reliable method of testing. Something that's miles and miles away at such a shallow angle.
Okay, I have to say this in response to that specifically.
Sure.
But given that rebuttal, you basically just told us that it is virtually impossible to do any method of inquiry to verify whether or not the Earth is a sphere. And if that is the case, then the claim that the Earth is a sphere is merely a supposition, not justified by a sound argument.
Well, I mean, do you want to rebut that? And I want to address something as well.
I'd feel like you wouldn't be able to test it based on the horizon. I would test it by other.
Okay, again. You just said that, and then I responded to it, and then you said it again, so I have to say it again. If that's the case, right, you cannot empirically verify. You can't do a measurement to empirically detect the curvature and to measure and to quantify the curvature of the supposed surface of the Earth in any way. So then the doctrine that is out here being believed by billions, that the Earth is a sphere with specific quantified dimensions, is merely a belief that is not justified by a sound argument. If it's not possible to empirically quantify and detect the curvature of the Earth.
Right. It's almost, to me, what I'm hearing is like, if you, going back to the height analogy, it's like, well, I don't think measuring how tall I am would really, validate how tall I am. Of course, that's bogus. That's exactly how you would verify it.
No, but if I were standing 3 miles away, would you be able to tell how tall I am?
But remember, brother, I don't want to have to repeat this over and over and over again. We're not just looking. I'm not just looking at. Obviously, you can't tell someone tall. You can't verify someone's height by just looking at them. You have to go and test or measure this. So
the problem is, by the time you go to the horizon, you have a new horizon. How would you measure it?
Tehconda, the more you repeat this, the more you are defeating your position. You are saying that we cannot empirically verify and quantify the existence of the curvature of the Earth and specifically quantify it.
Yeah, not without going to space. All right.
Oh, really? Yeah. Whoa.
So since you asserted what we can't do, since you've established what is insufficient to the conclusion, then what is sufficient to prove the conclusion that the Earth is a sphere?
I don't know if you can prove it, but I'm not claiming to have proof.
So you're telling all the navigators.
Well, if you're not claiming to have proof, and if you don't have an argument, then it's just a conclusion without a sound argument to justify it, so you don't know it.
Exactly. So listen, you're having to say with just a belief only to all the navigators out there at sea that are seeing things like lighthouses a minimum of 100 miles, and they're watching it the entire time they're on watch until they can touch the shore of a certain location. Yeah. You're telling all of them that they're seeing a fucking mirage.
Well, let's address something you said there too. You kind of had contradicting ideas. It seems like, you correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying like you can't measure how tall you are by being 3 miles away, right? So when we're talking about measuring the surface of the Earth, you're like, well, you need to go even farther away than 3 miles. So how does that make sense? If I can't measure somebody from 3 miles away from them, and then we want to measure the surface of the Earth, but you need to go hundreds of miles away from this, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You kind of contradicted yourself there, don't you think?
Because the curvature, it's
like, not just looking. Remember, I don't want to have to say it like 10 times. We're talking about measuring or testing. So if I want to test how tall you are, I have to go and actually test how tall you are.
Because it's not.
We want to measure the surface of the Earth. We don't go away from the surface.
But it's not. It's not.
I'll give you another analogy.
It's not linear.
Well, let me give you another analogy, just to keep it simple for those listening. I use the analogy of like going to the shoe store to buy new shoes. So. Hey, I need you to measure my foot. They don't go to the security cameras in the ceiling and like try to verify what your foot is from the security cameras. It's kind of the same idea. It's like, well, if we want to measure the surface of the Earth that's down below you, you don't fly away from it. Just like you said, you can't measure how tall you are by being 3 miles away. And I agreed with you. That's a great point.
CB, remember what he said earlier, because he's casting doubt as to whether you can empirically detect the supposed curvature of the Earth in the first place in order to then specifically quantify it. So he has to find the curvature first in order to then specifically quantify it. Right. But he just casts doubt as to the possibility of doing that. He doesn't believe it's possible to detect the curvature of the Earth, let alone then quantify it. So that doesn't help your position. That necessarily implies that your position is not only not known, but it is false. That which cannot be known cannot be true.
And I would also maybe want to address like it seems like there was another contradiction there about like, well, you can't see it or test it or whatever unless you didn't have an atmosphere. And then you said, well, there's some days when you can.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe clear that up for us?
I'm not saying... I'm saying that I didn't say there are some days you can trust your eyes. I'm saying that there are some days where the horizon more closely matches the geometric prediction.
Really?
But it's
in what way?
In terms of elevation detected using like a theodolite or...
we're not talking about theodolites. Those are only a good up to 300 yards anyway.
Okay, sure.
So
matching the prediction you said, that's begging the question. That's just affirming the consequent. Because the supposed prediction is an unverified cosmological paradigm with a specific geometric limit about the Earth.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that it matches a mere abstract hypothetical paradigm, not it matches any empirically detected and quantified concrete entity. Appealing to something that is supposedly aligning with your prediction begs the question as to whether or not the prediction is a concretely real state of affairs that is the cosmos.
Remember, we're trying to get into the verification stage.
Sure, yeah.
So almost seeming like this whole claim is unfalsifiable. Go ahead, Heretic.
When you talk about taking a theodolite shot, are you expecting the horizon to be at eye level if it's flat?
That's a good question. If your vision is limited to whatever refractive, supposing it's a flat surface, but there is some sort of horizon and the horizon is less than infinity, you have a limit to your vision, then you're looking down at a flat surface. So it would be I think you'd still be you could still try to calculate it. But sure. Good point. That's I'll stay away from theodolites. Let's just we'll ignore them. All right.
I just wasn't really clear on the answer though. You said that you're looking down at it. So does that mean you are expecting a dip?
Yeah.
If it's flat, okay.
Even if it's flat, I think I would expect a dip.
But I have to emphasize this again because the debate continues after I said what I said, which doesn't make any sense. You just told us that you've effectively told us that you cannot empirically detect the Earth's supposed curvature and cannot quantify it.
No, I said it's different on different days optically, and that's dependent on the refraction.
But that's our.
How is that? How does that respond?
And it's a good argument.
Save
So
yourself
I'm
from the
not
critique.
arguing with you. I'm saying it
No,
changes day to
you're
day.
stepping behind our argument, and you're sounding.
But
I don't
how
wanna
is
make
that
it
an
sound rude,
argument?
but you
Okay,
sound like
I
a flat
see.
earther when you say that. 'Cause
How is that
that's
an
our
argument?
rebuttal to the
But
claim
how is
that's
that
on
an
the table.
argument? How is that an argument that it's flat?
It's not. No.
That's
Hold
why
on,
I'm
let me
trying to
clear
say
that up.
this.
Let's clear that up real quick. It's not. It's a rebuttal to the original claim. We've said this maybe 5 times now. This isn't an argument that the Earth is flat. We're trying to address the claim on the table that the Earth is a globe and the horizon is a geometric physical curve of the Earth.
I'll explain Hold on. You're walking away from your geometric globe claim. So now you're in a position where you're like us are saying that the horizon is only optical and you can't tell.
Okay.
Yet you're trying to say that you're using something else. What is that something else that you're using as evidence in an empirical sense? Like, where's your repeated observations of the globe with the elevation drop over distance that is required repeatedly over and over again, which is what we have that shows every observation as flat. So why don't you have any observational data that shows a repeated measurement of the horizon exactly where it's supposed to be? Where is that?
I don't believe there is any, and I don't have any, and I don't think I could show you any without.
So that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking the room to let me complete my line of talk to him about my words to him.
Go ahead, G.
Yeah, go.
So I gave my critique about your response. You've attempted to invalidate the appeal to the horizon. You've attempted to invalidate the supposed possibility of doing a measurement. Right. I think you briefly mentioned supposedly going to space first to empirically detect,
but I can't
the existence of the curvature of the surface of the Earth to then specifically quantify it. But then I asked you point blank, what is sufficient to empirically detect the curvature of the Earth, the curvature of the surface of the Earth, and quantify it? You basically said nothing. So if your answer is nothing, then you and anyone cannot empirically detect the existence of the supposed curvature of the Earth's surface and any specific supposed quantification thereof. Therefore, your position cannot be known. Therefore, you forfeit the debate. There is no debating after that. You just made your position impossible to be known. If you cannot prove your conclusion, then you don't know your conclusion to be true.
And you're stuck in a position now because now you're in between what your experts, your priests of the heliocentric religion are saying, and you're not even like, you're more approaching like what we believe while walking away from your geometric claim completely, even though all the literature and data shows exact amounts of elevation drop over distance on your globe charts, on the globe graphs.
Mm-hmm.
Forget that quality, then Earth is a globe.
Okay.
And a question for you: if I measure 10 miles flat surface, how I will call that surface?
How do you measure it?
How I measure it? I have an object on 10 miles, and I observe the object, and that object is on 10 miles, and then I say, look, I see flat till that object.
I think that at such a shallow angle that is less than half of a tenth of a degree, it's hard to look at an object 10 miles away and say whether or not there's curvature between you and it.
Are you saying that that water, what I'm seeing between me and the object, it's tricking me?
I'm saying that refraction could trick you, yes.
A reflection could trick me. How reflection could trick me and showing me the physical water?
Okay. We were talking about this last time, and I'll go ahead and post, see if I can post something.
Now, let me clarify this, because if this is not clarified, this dispute is worthless. What is the point of dispute right now?
I believe, sorry, if I understand correctly, Sasha was talking to me last time about the Black Swan video involving the oil rigs.
Yeah.
That are.
Can you forget that oil rig?
Sure.
Rig. Let's call it something different. Let's call that oil rig a big white screen with the letters written 10 miles.
Mhm.
Can we call like that? It's very big screen, and it's written 10 miles. That 10, it's visible. Miles, it's refracted. But horizon is behind that screen.
Okay.
And the water between the beach and that screen, it's level and totally physical, and you can even see it. You can take a boat and go to the oil rig.
Okay, good. That's fine. Yes, and what if you also had one on a different day where you have a sign that's at 5 miles, and then you still have your one at 10 miles, but the horizon is clearly.
That means, okay. That means
let me finish. But if the horizon is somewhere between the two signs,
I will answer you. That means that some atmospheric condition happen, and that then and maybe it's a wave, maybe it's atmospheric condition. Yeah, then you have on the 5 miles. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But then day after, you see again that real physical water, and it's on 10 miles, and that's real, because that's what was happening day before. It was maybe fog or something, and it doesn't give you chance to see more. But the other day, it give you chance to see more, but not phenomena. The reality itself, because that is physicality of that water that exists. It doesn't do phenomena, doesn't doing anything. It could do only that you can see less. That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to make it clear, Tech. What's with the repetition? I mean, are you trying to form an argument by just like repetition? Because we have already covered this. I'm not sure why we have to keep going over the same thing over and over and over again. The horizon changes. That's been our argument from the jump, from day one. So you saying, well, look, the horizon changed. Okay. Yeah, that's our point. Why do you feel the need to keep highlighting that?
Thank you. The reason is that Sasha is asking about the physical horizon, and I am trying to demonstrate that the horizon is optical. And
that's our argument that we covered maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times now. I'm not sure where the why is this an argument from repetition? You're trying to say it over and over and over again. Well, hopefully it'll start to make sense for your case, but it's our case. You're making our argument for us.
Not necessarily.
No, it's 100% necessarily. You're saying exactly what we've been saying from the jump, that the horizon is optical and it changes. So you saying, well, look, the horizon changed here on another day. It's here. Yeah, that's what we've been saying. So I think Gregory asked a good question: is what is your premise here? Greg, did you get an answer to that question? Maybe you had to step away for a moment. I didn't hear an answer to that necessarily.
The answer, as I've said many times, is that the distance to the horizon varies based on refraction and is not a reliable means.
We just went over this like 2 seconds ago.
So you're saying you have no means. So you're saying you have no means at all to prove your globe. It's clearly just a zealotry, religious belief. That's all it is. You only have a belief. You have no proof to back it. You're actually more on the side of the flat earthers now.
That's fine.
Congratulations. You're repeating things the flat earthers, the rebuttals flat earthers have been making against the geometric horizon. So if you want to prove that there is a geometric horizon, you're going to need something other than our rebuttals to that original claim.
Well, you say that the horizon or the distance to it is based on refraction. Is it based on curvature at all?
In theory, yes.
Well, let's put it into practice.
I can't prove it.
So you don't know that?
But that's what your foundation is based on, this curvature, right? This geometric.
Okay, you
horizon.
cannot, but who did it before?
I don't know of anyone who has proved the horizon.
Well,
See,
how we have ties then?
I know someone who has.
You're completely
How we
in a
have
religion. You're a religious zealot. That's all.
Well, hold on, before we get into that. Like, are you willing to give us the dub for this argument? We could possibly move on to something besides the horizon, but you might have to concede, though, before we move on.
I can help with his argument.
I don't think there's any helping out of this one, but
No, trust me.
Maybe Crazy Narwhal knows something I don't, but it's my understanding that the horizon is not good at determining the shape of the Earth.
brother, what you're forgetting is that they claim that the horizon is the reason why the Earth is curved. So you can't take the original claim and throw it behind your back and have everyone just forget that was the claim on the table. Why have we been going? Why did the Black Swan even come up? It's because the claim that the horizon is the physical curve of the Earth. So you can't take the original claim and go, well, forget about it. It doesn't work that way. You guys, the claim's already been made on the table, so we can't just discredit it or forget that it even happened. You guys are throwing away your original premise.
Can I support the claim?
Sure. I'll let Crazy Narwhal step in.
Okay, thank you. So actually, this experiment was performed by a flat earther, which is pretty ironic. But they had a camera.
Well, first of all, it's not an experiment, and we're going to need to address that. But
that isn't they did an experiment.
It's not an experiment.
Yeah.
Because then I'd have to ask you for what's the independent variable. I mean, I don't think you're actually helping the original claim, unless you want to prove that the curvature of the Earth is something physical, detectable, measurable, testable. That's what we've been trying to prove. So flat earthers didn't do that. So what he's saying in the chat here, he's agreeing with us that the horizon's optical, not physical. There's refraction. That's why the horizon changes. So we all agree with that. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree?
I'm not saying I disagree, but there's.
So do you agree? So you do agree with that? The horizon's optical, or are you saying it's physical?
Very partially. I'm saying it's physical, more physical than optical.
Well, what?
There's some optical parts to it because there's refraction and stuff, but
I think you're only confusing the argument here, buddy. It's either a physical position or it's an optical phenomenon. That's what it can't be.
Okay, physical.
Okay, so then let's get down to where is it and how can we detect that? Can we measure it? Where? How? Where? What are you basing this off of?
Can I talk about the point I was going to give originally?
No, because I think you're going to talk about what? Jiran or some flat earthers or something. Because they didn't measure the curvature of the Earth, my guy. They didn't prove that the horizon is geometric. So we're going to need to see that geometric horizon or something. Flat earthers didn't do that.
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Well, I know you're not talking about the geometric horizon.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. Throw it out, Your Honor.
Well, you're saying flat earthers did an experiment. It was kind of already exposing because there's no experiment in terms of looking at the horizon. That's not an experiment. This doesn't fall into the category of science.
To prove that the Earth is in fact a globe, they tried to prove that the Earth is flat, but they failed.
Well, that's not. Sorry, hold on, buddy. That's not even what's on the table right now. We're addressing the claim that's on the table that the horizon is geometric.
Yeah, that's what this.
So we're not at the stage of proving the Earth is flat right now. We're just addressing the claim on the table.
Okay, yeah.
Is the horizon a physical place, or can it only be seen and it always varies?
Please clarify, so let him respond now.
This still helps the claim that the horizon is physical and not optical. So can I
Well, then you'd be disagreeing with Mr. tehconda here, who says it's optical. So now we've got two guys who believe in the globe that have mixed signals. The claim is that it's physical. He's agreeing with us that it's optical. We know it's optical.
Okay, well, I'm saying that it's physical.
Okay, well, go ahead and prove that for us. And don't worry, flat earthers didn't do that. So let us know if you can verify that the horizon is physical.
Okay. So there was an experiment done.
Not an experiment.
Just let him finish. Just let him finish. We've been having this conversation for years.
So
call it an observation, my guy.
Observation, not an experiment.
Observation.
Yeah, we can still learn things from observations.
Just let him go on. Just let him talk.
So
there was one
He's
person.
going to say that flat earthers proved the globe.
So there's one person with the camera, another person with the light. They are 3 miles away, I'm pretty sure. And there's a cardboard thing in the middle, somewhere around that, that had a hole in it. They were all. The camera was 17 feet above the ground. The hole in the wall was 17 feet, and the guy with the light was going to hold the light 17 feet above. And if they could see it, then it would be flat. Right, then the Earth would be flat. That makes sense. But
was a collimator used?
Sorry,
was a collimator used?
Christ.
What?
What? It's screaming only on that
He doesn't
place.
know what he's talking about.
Is it?
He doesn't know what columnated light is. He doesn't understand how light works. I guarantee you.
What?
Yeah, you know nothing about light. Duh.
They used that one video, I think, shared on.
Hold on. It's got to be cleared up before we go on. They used a flashlight because they couldn't use the thing. Do you know how a flashlight works?
They used like a really big light. It wasn't just a
flashlight. Go look at you. You don't even know what you're talking about. You are coming in with a pea shooter to a gunfight.
So was the light not collimated?
I don't know.
You might want to put this on the back burner, my guy, because this isn't leading to a geometric horizon. We're in the verification stage as well. We're trying to verify. So pointing a flashlight and shining it through holes and stuff doesn't verify what the water's doing, or that the water is physically curved in a geometric position. So we're in the verification stage now, and you're also disagreeing with the other globe earther in here.
Oh, okay.
So you're not clearing things up. You're just making things more confusing.
Can I address something that tehconda said?
Go ahead.
He said that that's optical, right? The horizon is optical, and then claimed that
it's optical.
And then claimed that the distance to it changes. Okay, if it's optical, then there is no distance to it. There's no measurable distance to an optical phenomena.
Hard disagree.
Me too. You can measure to it. The point is,
pause,
it's not
pause,
precise.
pause,
it's just
please
like
listen.
a set of coordinates.
Pause. It's an optical phenomenon, right? It's not a concrete particular that exists independent of your subjective perception over there in the distance. So no, it doesn't have a distance.
You can detect the distance of a image. You can definitely do that.
Okay, you're talking about a concrete particular with a photographic image on it. That's an equivocation. You're not talking about that. You're either talking about a concrete particular that exists independent of your subjective perception of it, or you're just talking about an optical phenomenon.
True.
I got another way to say it, tehconda. Can you measure the distance to a mirage? Or is a mirage always moving?
A mirage is a little different.
Yeah. So if it's optical, then you can't measure it, right?
Not necessarily. There are things that are optical that you can measure a distance to. There are actually equations that you can use for if you have a convex mirror or a concave mirror that where you put an object, its image changes depending on the radius of curvature of that mirror, and you can find the location of the image and that deals with its magnification. Its optics is a little tricky, but
we're not talking about a mirror. We're talking about the surface of Earth.
Right. And the surface of the Earth, and you're talking about the distance to the horizon. The way to measure that distance to the horizon, you could use land markers, like in the Black Swan video. That definitely can tell you something about the distance. Maybe detecting its exact distance down to the inch would be kind of difficult, but you could generally gauge whether it's between 5 miles or 9 miles if you have land markers.
You're right.
Tehconda, this is ontologically absurd.
And if you can actually see the furthest landmark, 9.41 miles, and clearly the horizon further than that, then we know the horizon isn't blocking that last oil rig, right?
Right. And
stop. No, I'll stop. That's an all stop. Yeah, when you said right, that needs a pause because that bludgeoned your radius claim in 100 different ways. Thousands if you want to look at. Listen, if you want to look at the same view of the 10-mile at least horizon through those oil rigs, and then look to the right in the same view or same screenshot of the original video, you see the islands at a minimum 30 miles. That makes your radius 500 million miles in diameter, twice the distance to the moon.
And my argument has never been that you can use your view of the horizon to measure the circumference.
Well, don't worry. As I said earlier, we're not waiting for you to make the argument. Again, claim is already clear on the table for everyone. We're not waiting for you to tell us how big the globe is or any of that stuff.
But if he
now,
says,
back up a second. Hang on. Because this has to be...
Hold on a second. So if he says he can't use that, what can he use?
To detect, what do you mean? To say whether or not the Earth is round, or to say the size of the Earth?
Yeah, to word it like that if you want to detect the globe in question. You can't use the horizon, so what can you do?
Right. Well, again, this comes with the presupposition that the Earth is round. You would use the shadow cast by the sun to determine curvature.
I'm hearing that we have to presuppose the thing in question.
Correct. Well, you have to. Yes.
No, you don't.
Okay, so then you don't have an argument to demonstrate that it's concretely real.
My argument hasn't changed. My argument is based on the moon and the sun being the same size as they travel across the sky at a constant 15 degrees.
Tehconda, when you tell us you have to presuppose it, that is necessarily implying you don't have an argument to prove it.
No, it means
that I consider it true.
It means that I consider it true. Yes, that I have sufficient evidence to suggest that the Earth is round. A priori, the discussion of how far away something should be on the horizon.
No.
It is.
The conclusion you're trying to prove is an empirical knowledge claim. No, you don't. You don't have the right to just take it for granted that the Earth is a ball. You have to prove that first.
I can prove it through deductive reasoning.
No, you cannot.
That's not even the proper category to make the argument, because a deductive argument necessitates the conclusion. But you're supposed to be giving a support for an empirical knowledge claim. The only category such conclusions can be supported, the only category of argumentation that such conclusions can be supported is an inductive argument. You have to appeal to some a posteriori empirical data to substantiate the conclusion. You're not even getting the categories of argumentation correct.
And you can believe.
Start off with your premise.
Hold on,
assuming.
Okay, sorry.
Tech, did you want a rebuttal? I think a couple guys want to chime in before you go, or after you go. Because Greg's cooking, man. Greg's cooking you right now. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, sure.
But do you want a rebuttal to that before other guys chime in? Because other guys are hungry, man. They want to cook too.
Yeah, I hear you.
Nothing?
No, Greg makes some good points. I'm not even seeking to prove that the Earth is round. Okay, I'm seeking to.
Wait, bro, but that's what we're asked. That's what we do here.
Yeah,
that's
and I was here listening.
This whole conversation is getting into the actual proof and verify. I told you, we're in the verification stage.
I was here listening in.
But CB, let's go with that. I hope you guys are noticing my pattern of argumentation. I'm just letting him tell me what he wants to tell me. And then I'm asking him, at least asking him, let alone exposing the implications of his words. If you tell me that you're not even attempting, or that it was never your intention to attempt to give an argument to support the conclusion the Earth is a sphere, then that's a concession to defeat.
No.
Concession that you were never.
I'm sorry.
You were never even part of the debate, so you have yet to prove the conclusion.
I don't like the word proof. Proof is in math. Proof is a very strong word. I look for empirical evidence.
We're still in.
Let's talk about that. I mean, since he's talking with me, let me talk to him about this. What is proof? What is that?
Okay, great.
Well, okay. I was being pedantic. We can use a just a general term for proof. If we're all on the same page, proof would just be a sufficient amount of evidence.
In my language, is one word.
What?
I would concur with that.
In my language,
because I was using proof in the very basic sense.
Okay, that it's.
When I say proof, I'm just talking about one or more specific objective premises to support the conclusion. Whatever category of argumentation you want to use.
Sufficient amount of evidence to support a conclusion. I can agree with that term. Sure.
Okay, so we dispelled the verbal dispute about proof.
Okay.
And so my last critique still stands.
And I start with the belief that from the surface of the Earth, it's difficult to detect curvature on the horizon. So I don't use the horizon as proof of curvature of the Earth. It just doesn't.
So that swiftly gets us to Heretic's question. Because Heretic earlier asked you, what is sufficient to prove the Earth is a sphere?
What do you think it is?
By ruling out the other possibilities. And
those are your models that you talked about earlier.
It's a method of argumentation.
We also throw out as well.
It seems to be the same method of argumentation that you all use, that if you have ruled out that the Earth is curved because the horizon is further away than it would be on the round Earth model, then you're using a deductive argument. I would use
the same since that's your method of inquiry, then let's go with this for a moment. Let's go with this for a moment, okay? So you're trying to give a deductive argument to necessitate your conclusion. Or you're trying to eliminate the other possibilities to then, of course, necessarily imply that the one that is not fallacious or not incoherent is the truth, which is how deductive argumentation works. Now, the only options that we have, logically, geometrically, is that the surface of any given object, including the Earth, is flat or it's curving. Right? When we're asking the question, what is the surface of the Earth geometrically? Is the surface of the Earth flat or is it curving? That's the only two options that we have. So given that we don't detect curvature, and what we do detect is a surface that is not curving, it's flat. Therefore, it's flat.
That's deductive reasoning right there.
Again, I wouldn't say we don't detect curvature. I'd say we detect curvature. It's just not always in the same location. I still
believe that's ontologically absurd, tehconda. I've addressed this multiple times. It's ontologically absurd.
I disagree.
Because either the Earth is a sphere and it is moving location between the hours within the day or on various days within the week. The surface, the size of the Earth is changing size by miles every day of the week or every several hours within the day. Or
I'll let you finish.
The surface of the Earth is not curving, and the optical phenomenon that is the horizon appears to be in different locations, given the behavior of light, given the medium that it's in, given the function of our eyes.
Are those the only two possibilities?
For the surface?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me explain.
Unless you can provide a third option.
The third option.
Right. Before you say the third option, let me explain. Because the only two options that we have is that the object is a concrete particular entity that is external and independently existing from our subjective perception, or it is a subjective perception. Either it's an objective, concretely real, particular, independent, existing independent of our subjective perception, or it is a subjective perception of whatever the given object is that we're supposedly perceiving.
Okay.
I mean, what's the third option?
Well, let me answer first with a question real quick, just so we're all on the same page. What causes the horizon to look at maybe it's 3 miles one day, 5 miles the next, 10 miles the next, if you're standing from the same location and observing the same view?
Not curvature.
Well, he asked what it is, so let's be fair. He asked what it is.
What causes it to change distance?
Multiple reasons. One of them being refraction, observer's height, weather. Again, we kind of already went over this. The only thing that you're supposed to be arguing for is that it is caused by curvature.
Could it have curvature? Could you be on a curved surface that is very large, but also have the same problem of refraction changing the distance?
It would never
Okay, if you argue that way, every time you argue this way, we have to say this. Every time you argue that way, you are necessarily implying with that rebuttal that you do not empirically detect the Earth's curvature. Therefore, you don't have any empirical data to substantiate the conclusion the Earth is a sphere. Therefore, the conclusion is false.
Yeah, and it would never do what Earth is actually doing outside right now. It wouldn't for sure do that. All the phenomenon we show that happen outside can be replicated over a plane surface, a level surface. We can show all the optical effects on short distances that you're talking about. So they're not caused by Earth curvature. They're caused by perspective itself and the phenomenon that occurs over a planar surface over distance. This can be proven, has been duplicated, replicated over and over thousands and thousands of times, and match actual real observations in the real world.
Yeah, what causes it to vary, or one key component of why it varies like that, is the lack of curvature, or else it would have been limited geometrically to the 1.2 mile distance. But since that limitation isn't present, it can fluctuate beyond that from day to day.
You're appealing to a hypothetical position, a hypothetical state of affairs where we, the observer, could not empirically detect the supposed curvature of the Earth's surface in the attempt to invalidate our appeal to the horizon. But what you don't realize is that line of argumentation makes your conclusion impossible to be proven.
Falsifiable.
So, sounds like his position has been reduced to it could be a globe.
So your appeal to this last hypothetical state of affairs where we're in a position where we cannot empirically detect the supposed curvature of the Earth, whilst supposedly the Earth is still a sphere flying around in a cosmic vacuum. You have therefore made it impossible for us to empirically detect the curvature. Therefore, we cannot give a sufficient argument to prove the conclusion.
And the only proof he brought forth was flat earthers, so that is proving heretic.
Well, that wasn't him, to be fair. It wasn't him. It was some other great ball. But you did say that it was it has been detected, but that hasn't been determined or put forward in this conversation. And someone else pointed that out in the chat and said, he says they detect curvature, but that hasn't been purported or even presented in this conversation this far.
Detect.
Why wouldn't you just present that if it has been detected?
I don't believe I've said that.
I might have to rewind this stream.
At least maybe there's a difference. There's a difference between detecting curvature and measuring the exact amount.
Okay. Well, two of us heard you. So
okay.
Do you want to clarify? Maybe you said maybe you meant to say like it has been detected but not measured, or you're welcome to clarify if you want. I try to be a good listener, so it seems like multiple of us heard the same thing. So
I don't know if I've actually said that. I don't think I've actually said that.
Well, good thing we're recorded. So would it be okay? I can pause out and go rewind the tape.
Is it necessary?
Well, I don't. That's a really good benefit of the live stream, is just so we can kind of hold people accountable. I don't like it when people say something and they go, "Well, I didn't actually say that." Well, what are we doing here? So you're welcome to clarify, or I can just go get the recording.
It might have been when
if you're saying it has been detected, like, well, that hasn't been determined in this conversation.
Yeah.
You haven't presented that either.
How far back is that CB?
Okay,
Yeah,
this might have been. I might have said that. I might have said something about it, and I might have mentioned the theodolite as a means of detecting the dip. But it was also
not that. I mean, this was just 5 minutes ago, roughly. Adam Price in the chat, 42 minutes past the hour. He'd say they detect the curvature, but just doesn't report it. That's why I chimed in. I was thinking the exact same thing when you said, "Well, it's already been detected." I'm like, bro, why haven't you presented it then? Why haven't you put that forward then for us? Why have you been hiding that if it has been detected? Then what's because we've been Gregory's been cooking you this whole time.
I've already said to measure curvature, you wouldn't use the horizon. You would use like the shadows that poles cast, but that necessitates a already
presupposition.
Also not measuring the Earth, brother.
You'd already
not
have to presuppose it's round.
That's measuring shadows. So based on assumptions.
Based on a light source that you don't know how far it is or what it's made of or anything about it. So good job on that.
Can I shoot refraction in the heart real quick?
Oh,
it's just a quick statement.
I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah. So like you're already presupposing a ball and then invoking refraction. Could it just as easily? And you say, well, what else could it be? Could it just as easily be a flat plane, and then refraction could be pushing things off in the distance downward, giving the appearance of a physical horizon, even though it's just apparent, and that's why it's different every day. Could that be the case?
I agree that could be the case, but let me.
Then you can't invoke refraction, dude.
Let me post a picture. No, I'm saying I'm invoking the refraction, saying
refraction
it could be.
So where's your physical curvature? Where's your physical curvature that we can measure?
All right. I went ahead and copied and pasted a picture that that was already posted by someone else.
That's all I wanted to say.
If we want to see his image, we have to give him image perms.
I reposted it. It's the same thing.
Okay.
But just remember, let's just be clear. It's like we're this is starting to get kind of repetitive. We have already covered this. So we're going to bring up, well, look at the horizon change. We did this like 5 times already.
I wanted to just
this has got to be really painful for you. You can
really.
See it anytime if you want.
I can do this. I can do this all day. It's fine.
This is like we're like 50-0 in terms of this horizon argument so far.
This is fun for me, though. Look, one of these pictures.
It's fun for me too.
Which one of these pictures shows signs that there's refractive distortion?
Both.
What signs do you see?
The horizon changes, bro.
Not just the horizon. How about looking at the crane?
That's what the whole argument is about. Wait.
Who cares?
The horizon's about the crane is part of the horizon.
Listen, the crane isn't even part of the topic. That's the horizon is. If you want to talk about the water leading all the way up to the horizon, that's continually rising, and then you can see everything along the way as farther out and higher up in your vision, leading up to the horizon, which is the farthest out and the farthest up in your vision. We can talk about that just like it does on a board. If you held a board out and had little stick figures on it, it would do the same thing on a flat surface. Bro,
bendy cranes don't make the horizon curve.
Come to your senses.
You gotta keep in mind what you're supposed to be arguing for.
Birds.
Yeah, are you going to start using birds now? You know, after the diesel exhaust from the freaking crane. Bending the freaking cranes above the surface. We're talking about the surface. Stick to the surface.
Well, let's look at the text in the chat there. Actually, underneath that, does the globe inflate and deflate? Of course, you wouldn't make that claim,
right?
But based on
tehconda, we can't, like he just said, we can't recycle this over and over again. We have to come to a conclusion. Now, what they repeated to you multiple times as you made this appeal is that this appeal and your attempt to invalidate our appeal to the horizon by telling us that it's a refraction phenomenon happening over there in the image that is proving our position and refuting the globe paradigm. That's the point. Your appeal is not refuting ours or invalidating our appeal. It is proving us.
Yeah, you're essentially repeating our rebuttal. It's kind of funny.
You know what I find interesting? the guy who came out with the rate of the radius, and we know who it is. We don't need to tell now. The guy who came out with the rate with Matt, that 3959, he used the horizon.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but you just said that we can't use the horizon.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know he used the horizon to determine that.
I bet you didn't know the Big Bang theory was created by a Jesuit Catholic priest either.
Well, that's a conversation for a whole other time. But actually, that's a pretty good point there, Sasha. Are you familiar with the gentleman named Al-Biruni? Our friend Tech here.
No.
Well, put that on your put that on a list of some. Put that in your notes or whatever. Do some homework on that, so you can kind of check and see what we're saying. But yeah, what do they do, guys? He used the horizon. He tried to draw tangents to the horizon. So if it's all refracted, then what was he doing?
He had to measure the height of a mountain first.
And plus, he was 700 miles far away from the sea level.
When did he do that?
I think I will tell you.
Biruni. Al, first name, last name Biruni. So check it out.
In 800 or I don't know.
10th century.
Yes, the thing is with Al-Biruni and Eratosthenes, they both in both instances that they were off by so much percent, very close to the actual radius, right, or circumference. Based on what?
Right. How do you get close to an unknown? How are you 20% off of an unknown?
Well, here's the thing that people forget about Eratosthenes. What was he using to measure those angles from? A horizontal plane. Using elevation angles of the light.
Well, before we wrap up on this most recent horizon argument from tehconda, tehconda, you said that you wouldn't use the horizon. You wouldn't be able to use it to show that the Earth's a globe. So why did you go to the horizon for your next argument?
I wasn't. I was suggesting that. Sorry, I was responding to someone who said that is it possible that the Earth is flat, but that refraction forces objects in the distance to appear below the horizon? And I had agreed that yes, that's possible. And I showed a picture of the black swan as a suggestion that one of those has more refractive effects than the other. It seems pretty obvious.
It's all kind of moot, though, once you say we can't use the horizon to tell if it's a globe, right? So why even continue talking about the horizon at that point? Just move to whatever tells you that the Earth is a globe.
Right.
Exactly. Or even refraction for that point.
The thing is, neither of them have curvature, which is the thing you're supposed to be arguing for, brother. So it's like I don't know if it's slipping the brain or what.
Here's the thing.
Just keep in mind what your argument is based off of is the physical curve of the Earth.
Right.
Coming up with reasons why it's not there is not supporting that case. I think Gregory's kind of been cooking you on this one from the jump. But yeah, fair. You've been a good sport, so I appreciate that.
Like 2 hours.
Here's the thing. Let me answer a couple things real quick, just because I kind of got I got off on trying to display that one picture has more refraction than the other, but my other point would have been that I concede that it's possible refraction could make a distant object look like it's below the horizon, but would you concede that on a round surface it would be possible for something in the distance due to refraction to be appear above?
No, because they cancel each other out.
No. So I want you to show me that.
No. All right, I'm done with you guys.
Shut up.
You guys are not arguing a good debate.
We didn't even
that's bad
for
debate.
this.
Come on.
What is happening?
Wait a second. I was
That's
waiting
bad
for this.
You asked a question.
Wait a minute. I was waiting for this moment. So stop talking for a moment. Now you need to provide exactly the data that shows what you just said about a curved surface lifting things up exactly at those distances, exactly at those elevations, those distance elevation drops at distance. You need to provide every distance that shows it coming up to a level. Go.
How am I
And
supposed
how they are doing that in a way that they are presenting physically in the nature?
Oh, Tech, it's funny.
Optically.
You asked the
Optically,
question.
I see physicality. I don't see optically nothing.
He's done. He's a cooked goose, so it's over now.
You guys are arguing in bad faith.
No, brother. You just asked a question before anybody got a chance to answer. You're like, you guys are terrible, blah, blah, blah. That's bad faith. If you ask a question and don't want to hear the answer, I don't think that's, you're saying we're in bad faith? I think that's you. Gregory's been talking to you in a very calm demeanor. I've been very
Gregory's
calm.
been great.
I don't think that we're in bad faith. I think Greg and I have been fairly...
Yeah, you too. You've been awesome
for the most part. So when you asked the last question, you're like, could it work on a globe or whatever? I think two people wanted to chime in, and you didn't even want to hear the answer.
I heard their answer. They said, no, you got to give an exact measurement.
I didn't hear the answer because everyone was getting rumpus. You were rumpusing the answer.
Yep.
Oh, guys, I'm leaving or whatever. It's like, well, dude, let them answer.
Still haven't provided anything showing that this claim is true, so you're bunked.
A demonstration that is possible to.
I was asked, is it possible that things can appear below the horizon on a flat plane due to refraction? And
I only say that it's possible based on a demonstration.
On a demonstration? What demonstration do you have?
I
would you be even thinking it's possible?
I mean, I posted something in the chat there. Maybe you could take a look. That might help. But go ahead, Sheep.
I was the one that brought up the idea that, okay, could it be possible that on a flat plane that refraction could be pushing an object downward, giving the appearance that it's going behind a physical horizon, apparently? And could this happen on a ball also?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yes. Does it? Prove it. Prove it.
Thank you, Sheepdog. Thank you. No,
Prove it. Stop saying, oh, let's presuppose and let's get out our imaginary math calculations and then let's go ahead and drop a diagram of what we think should be going on. Let's get down to the physical portion of the observation.
Okay, well,
my point being, right, you can't begin to say something is possible without having a reason to think it is. First instance, why are you saying it's possible? Or globe?
Why am I saying it's possible? Because look, Creation Bear even posted an image of the horizon moving due to atmospheric refraction.
Which is our point from
it gets higher and lower.
We've been, I don't know why we had, you're kind of stepping behind our arguments and seeming like it's a case for the globe.
Because
it's like you want to hang on to the ball, even though we've given you other options that could be going on. You're still going to be like, well, but I really want to hold on to this ball.
And you're actually out on a limb away from your actual experts on your side of the this whole thing. You've walked away from them too.
At this point, you just want to believe it's a ball.
Hold on! Don't tell me what I want to believe.
We know it's not like it's a secret.
It's quite obvious, dude. Are you? I mean, and no one cares what you believe, but when you come in here telling us this belief system you're duped by is reality, good luck with that. If you're here to share your confused, scattered, vague belief system, thank you for the last 2 hours.
Well, just remember, we're into the verification stage now. So it's like, if you have a case, let's go ahead and take a look. We'll all take a look at it. But it's like, your case is our case. It's just kind of weird. It's like, dude, what's going on here? Remember what
at this rate, it's become tedious to repeatedly tell you that you telling us the horizon can move, quote unquote, is not a refutation to us. It is our premise.
Yeah, it's like if we were to jump into a time capsule and go back to 2017, you would be arguing with Team Globe. They'd be arguing against you. They say, no, it's not optical. No, the horizon is geometric. So, but in 2023, for some reason, it's like deja. You guys have forgotten what's supposed to be, what you guys are supposed to be arguing for. You're now pissing down the backs of the 2017 Globe Earthers.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Well, why is that fine? So it's like in 2017, you'd be a flat earther essentially, based off the things you're saying now.
They could call me a flat earther if they wanted to back then.
You're
but
making the argument for the flat earther.
I'm saying based on the horizon, you can't tell whether it's round or flat.
Tehconda.
Oh my god!
At this rate, you're just being annoying now.
man.
We've already told you that premise you appeal to try and invalidate our appeal to the horizon is our premise, which supports our position. You are appealing to our premise that supports our position in the attempt to refute us.
How does it support the notion that it's flat?
No. Remember, brother.
It supports the conclusion that the Earth is not a sphere and the horizon is not the edge of the sphere.
Correct. Remember, we've said this already a couple times, or maybe more than a couple. It's a rebuttal to the claim on the table, which is that the horizon can be used and is used and is the physical curve of the Earth. You can't now turn around and say, well, I don't think that's sufficient enough. That claim's already been made. We're formed a rebuttal, and now you guys are basically saying, well, forget the claim.
That's fine. No, I'm not saying that either. I'm saying if other people want to make that claim, they can. I don't.
We're not waiting for individuals. Remember, we're not waiting for certain individuals to make claims. It's already on the table. We don't need you to make a claim about the globe. Well,
I'm not here to defend that claim. It's
not brother, you seem really confused now.
Okay, so you're not even attempting to prove the Earth is a ball flying in a vacuum.
Not based on the horizon. Just
no, not based on the horizon. You just told us you're not here to prove that claim. Then you added that extra caveat as soon as I explained the logical implication of what you just said.
Tehconda, well, do you know why we're called flat earthers, Tehconda?
You believe the Earth is flat?
No.
Okay.
Wow. Because we disproved the Earth is a ball. It's not that we believe the Earth is flat. We said it's not a ball. What else could it be? And it's a dichotomy, dude. It is a true dichotomy. What else could the Earth be if it's not curving?
Well, we're just discussing the surface. So the surface can only be doing one of two things. I think Gregory covered that as well. Yeah. I think Heretic wanted to get in. I wanted to get
really quick. So I asked Tehconda last time.
Hold on. Go ahead, Heretic, and then Old Hoss, you go after him.
Yeah. So for all the hours that he's been here, I just want to take stock really quickly of what we have from him. We can't use the horizon to show that the Earth is a globe, and we have presupposition. Anything I missed?
No, that's just it right there. So no proof. It's just a presupposition.
Anything else to add, Tehconda, or is that all we got?
It truly got all the way down to just a wish. I wish that it was curved. I want it to be curved so bad that I will go to any lengths, including not defending any part of what I believe, pushing me further into someone that is just kneeling at the pews of some golden cow and professing its purity while having no details at all about the religion itself.
Yeah, last time I asked you, are you here to birth a new globe model? You said no. Now it sounds like you are.
Mm-hmm. This goes back into that BYOB thing I brought up earlier. You can't bring your own globe. Because the flat earthers are being criticized. Oh, you guys need to drop your flat earth ideas and get back on the globe. The globe. Not Tehconda's globe, not Matthew Learn's globe, not this random ding-dong globe. The claim that's already on the table. That's why we're not waiting around for you to make claims. It's already on the table for everyone to see. Flat earthers, concavers, whoever. We're not waiting around for you to say that the horizon is this, that, and the other. Based off of the claim, you can break down certain things. Just like I gave you the analogy of your height. If you claim you're 6 foot tall, then there has to be 72 inches there when I go to measure. You're like, well, I don't think you can judge me based off of those inches. Like, well, no, we can. That's because the claim is that you're 6 foot. So there has to be it breaks down from that claim.
So in other words, it's not that we're claiming the Earth is flat. It's we're claiming the Earth is not a ball.
I gotcha. You're using deductive reasoning, basically.
Well, it's a dichotomy, so there's only two options, right?
Unless you could
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the ball is dead. It's not. We're not claiming like you can call us flat earthers all day long. Most of us would prefer to be called true earthers over flat earthers. But the bottom line is the Earth is not perfect.
I'm still going to maintain that the horizon is not able to do refraction.
But here's the thing, dude.
You can't prove positive one way or the other.
No, brother. You're just discrediting the original claim.
Dude, these misconceptions that the horizon is a geometric location are baked into the globe model. It doesn't matter what you want to bellyache about or highlight your misunderstanding of.
Wait, did you say they're not baked in?
They are baked into
No, I agree with you, Old House, but I think he said that they're not there.
Yeah,
Did I mishear you?
Horizon is optical.
He's making up his own story.
Brother. This is getting kind of painful because you've forgotten. It's like almost like you keep forgetting what the claim is on the table.
Well, remember, he's already said he's not trying to prove that. So really, there's no need to press him on saying that he's forgotten the conclusion. He said he's not even trying to prove that conclusion. If he says that, then he hasn't even attempted to prove the conclusion. So his belief that the Earth is a ball has not been supported. He hasn't even attempted to do so.
It's a globe with amnesia. They've forgotten like what they're even here for.
Throwing every curve calculator under the bus, mate.
And he keeps telling us what doesn't prove his claim, but I'm still wondering what does.
I agree with Old Hoster. You said it's baked in. I 100% agree with that. Just like if you're 6 foot, then the idea that there has to be 72 inches is baked into that claim.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't take those two apart and say, well, no, you can't really look for the 72 inches there. I don't think it would prove anything. That's bogus.
All right. Well, I would say the same thing about a flat.
Remember, we haven't even got there yet. So just you keep trying to push it into this flat Earth territory. We're not even at that stage yet, brother. We're trying to address the claim on the table.
Trying to verify that the Earth is a globe. I got it.
Correct. So you keep trying to push it. Well, it doesn't mean it's flat. We're not even at that stage yet.
The argument that I'm making is that the method by which you're trying to verify the globe's curvature is flawed due to refraction.
So hold on, wait.
We've already refuted that critique.
Why was the original claim made then? Let's take a look at why the claim was made. Why are they claiming that the horizon is physical, geometrical? Why would that claim be made if it can't be used to determine anything?
Yeah, so CB, hold on a second. So listen, bring your globe then, because you just told us about, just like Heretic said, that you're telling us that it can't be done this way or that way. So now we want you to tell us, what are you substantiating your belief on? You bring forth that globe. We're waiting for you to bring that forward because we're tired of hearing why you can't prove the globe. What is it you're backing your belief system in?
There you go.
Well, he did say pictures from. He said pictures from space.
Hold on, I want him to answer. Hold on.
I base my beliefs based on the movements of celestial objects. I know you guys don't like that.
Okay, so let's sort this out then. That's a good place to start.
I kind of agree with Bro though.
Before we get into that though, Sonny, before we go into the bodies, celestial bodies, I just want to know about, because I just want to kind of like, why are they claiming things about why are they claiming that the horizon is the physical curve of the Earth in the first place if it cannot be used to determine whether it's flat or not?
I know.
Why would they do that in the first instance then? I want to know. Because I'm on Google right now.
Can we get to that question after Sonny's question? Because Sonny's question is more primary than that.
It's only going to take a short, just a few seconds, literally. So listen, now where you've placed yourself is at the hardware store, and you're putting in flooring, and your entire 3,000 square foot condominium, and you're asking the person there, the attendant at the hardware store, I'm putting in my flooring, and I need you to help me come and measure the ceiling lamps so I can tell the dimensions of the floor, please. Now tell me what that person's going to think of you.
Yes, they're going to think I'm crazy. I don't agree
so
with
why
that.
would you now? So why would you use that? So why would So why would you use that method of thinking in your normal life concerning Earth?
Just
we
like
can go
you
on to
guys.
that for sure.
Again,
You have no answer, so look, there is no
Let me
reason.
answer. Let me answer.
You're okay. Try to answer.
All right. Just like you guys say that there's a dichotomy, the Earth is either flat or it's round. I would believe the same thing, but that the celestial objects will either move a certain way or they'd move a different way depending
You're not
on
answering my
the shape of
question.
the Earth.
You're not answering my question. Why are you using the dimensions of something in the sky or your ceiling to figure out what the floor size is or the floor surface condition or anything about the floor? You wouldn't do that at the hardware store.
I just feel
said
like
that.
it's a flawed analogy, yeah, but the movements of celestial objects are going to move a certain way. If they were moving further away from me, they'd get smaller. Based on observations of any other object that's flying through the air or moving away from me.
We don't know that these things are objects. See, Greg, we're now on to a different topic. But I did want to. Okay, well, see, now we're getting into a different subject, which we can definitely do that. But I still would love an answer to the question I proposed.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Before we move on.
Go ahead, Creation.
Because we're getting into a bunch of different things.
All right, CB, please restate your question. I already forgot it.
Yeah, well, we can just wrap it up with the Horizon thing, and we'll move on. But I just want an answer about this. You're saying that the Horizon cannot be used.
I'm saying
why? I know. We heard what you said. I just want to know why, in the first instance, was it used to determine that the Earth was curved? Why would they do that if you're saying that it's inconclusive?
They, at that time, probably had no understanding of refraction.
Brother, this is not some ancient time. I'm talking today. They're still claiming it.
Real quick on what he just said, though. That's the basis of your whole claim, though. The basis of the whole globe ideology. So you're saying that it's based on having no real understanding of refraction, according to you.
No, that is not what I'm saying. If you listened, you would understand.
But the horizon dip angles, right, measured by Al-Biruni and attributed to the drop over distance of the globe, right, that is the basis of what you're here talking about right now. Mm-hmm. So if they got all this from not understanding the world, well, that's that then, isn't it?
Stone Age.
Well, you're saying like, oh, well, they were too stupid to figure this out. No, this is what they're saying today. They said it in 2017.
Okay.
That claim hasn't just vanished off the Earth. They still claim that boats go over the curve of the Earth. So this isn't like some ancient idea. This is still what the claim is. I just want to know, why would they make the claim if you're saying it's not valuable? You're saying this proves that the Earth is curved. Look, ships went over it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so only after the rebuttals have been formed now, folks like yourself and Matthew Learns have come in and said, well, I don't think you can use the Horizon, when they've already used the Horizon to build the claim. You don't see the issue here?
Yeah, I see an issue. I disagree with the original reasoning, but I don't.
Well, you're disagreeing with the globe, then.
No,
the globe has to have a physical curve of the Earth.
I draw the same conclusion through a different line of reasoning. I don't understand why you keep.
It's not the same
wistful
conclusion.
thinking doesn't qualify, dude.
Your line of reasoning lines up with our rebuttal, which Gregory went over with you several times, and I did as well. So that doesn't reach the same conclusion. You don't get back to a physical curve of the Earth with refraction, observer site weather, and all these things. That doesn't lead you to a physical curve of the Earth.
Okay.
So can we please get back to asking him what is sufficient to prove the Earth is a sphere? He then appealed to celestial body motions. Okay.
All right, so we've wrapped up.
You explain further, please. Make the argument.
First point, flat earthers. Go ahead.
I prefer the moon because it's not so bright that it damages your retina. It's not so bright that it creates a giant glare. I make most of my observations with the moon, and it stays the same angular size as it travels across the sky, and it travels.
Right.
Okay, so with that appeal, is that it? Is that the entire argument?
Not entirely. There's more.
Okay, finish the entire argument, please. Everyone, let him finish the entire argument.
The moon appears to be a solid object, an object that you can bounce radio waves off of. If you know anyone who's a ham radio enthusiast, you can actually use a ham radio. You might need a decent-sized antenna, but you can actually bounce radio waves off the moon, detect its distance, and tell that it is a solid thing.
Come on, man.
For the layman out there, do you
argument.
present something so people can see, take a look, or that way we don't have to just go off what you're saying?
Yeah. So while you're doing that, addressing what you said, right? Let's say the moon is all that. In principle, in argument, for the sake of argument, let's say the moon is all that. That does not only indicate that the Earth is a sphere. It's a non sequitur conclusion. All those premises you gave to support the conclusion that the Earth is a sphere, let alone a sphere spinning in a cosmic vacuum, is non sequitur.
Yeah, and it basically boils back down to, well, this idea wouldn't work on my idea of a flat Earth. This observation wouldn't work on my idea.
What about the equation?
I want to ask him about that thing, moon.
Hold on, folks, bro.
Is it possible that that surface is flat if his moon doing that what you observe?
Is it possible for the Earth to be flat?
Is it the surface to be flat when moon is doing that what is doing?
The only way that it would be flat, if the Earth were flat, is if the moon were traveling under the Earth when it dips under the horizon. You know it doesn't happen.
This is why.
Are you saying that water will start to curve and moon start to go under the ground?
Wait, who was saying the stuff about the moon?
Water will no, sorry, my bad. Water will be flat when moon start to go underground.
So before 1,000 different rebuttals are given, because people want to chime in, let us establish that the argument that he completed is a non sequitur to his conclusion, because it can be the case logically and metaphysically that the Earth is a topographical level plane and that there is a humongous spherical rock moving above the surface of the Earth. There being a humongous rock above the surface of the Earth does not necessitate or even strongly indicate the Earth is a sphere. It's a non sequitur.
Gregory, what does metaphysical mean?
When we talk about possibility, it's two basic categories. Possibility is concerned with logical coherency. So the supposition is either logically possible or it's both logically possible and metaphysically possible. What does that mean? Metaphysically possible simply means that it really can be the case that the present conditions necessary to make the possibility be the case is the case. Something can be logically possible without being metaphysically possible, but something that is metaphysically possible must be logically possible.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, the entire point that I want to make is that it's easier for me to believe that the horizon changes distance optically based on refraction than to believe that the moon is zooming away from me or hovering above the Earth as a flat plane versus what it seems to be doing, which is going around me as an observer at a consistent speed at 15 degrees per hour.
Yeah, but
okay, with that last thing being said,
presupposition of a curved surface. Degrees means angular on a ball. Like what? Fuck.
Yes.
Let's directly address the appeal he just last made. The appeal he just last made is just an appeal to credulity. Rather than an appeal to incredulity, it's an appeal to credulity.
Sure.
Your appeal to credulity is no defense of the conclusion.
You're just like you're chanting in the choir now at the church. Like you're literally just chanting globe lore.
That is what it is. He's also
you're totally doing chanting. It's religious chanting, everybody. So I hope you all recognize this. This is pure blind faith belief in something with no verifiable proof at all. Nothing that matches reality in the real world.
Well, don't forget the denying too. He's chanting and denying.
Okay, it's an appeal to incredulity, like you said, and also he's contradicting himself because he's brought the horizon into his argument once again, which he already said he couldn't use to determine the Earth's alleged sphericity. You're doing it again, right? Mm-hmm. So the moon sets over the horizon. The horizon, it's geometric. Then you said that we can't use it to determine that.
Right. And I'm saying that I would that it's easier for me to believe that the horizon is so far away and so shallow at an angle of less than a half of a tenth of a degree that it's
not a point of a degree. It's a point of. It is not point of but it's not point of degree. It is because of angular resolution. It's point of geometry.
But not even that. But not even that. I mean, that's a minor premise. The major premise that should be said to him is that whatever. So what? It's easier for you to believe.
Yeah.
Telling us an autobiographical description of what it's easier for you to believe is no support of anything or refutation of anything.
Yeah,
it's just an appeal to credulity fallacy.
It's a good thing you're only saying belief, because that's truly what it is. It's a pure belief. That's all. It's only a belief. You don't have anything to back that belief or validate the belief.
What do you guys have to say about Earth Moon?
Hold on, I wasn't even done.
Okay.
I wasn't even done. So I'm almost done. So an empty, vacuous belief is what you have. Thanks.
But remember,
what you say. Sorry.
Just as a reminder, we're at the verification stage. We all are well aware of the claims and now everyone's beliefs. We're trying to move past just what people believe into checking or verifying or falsifying. Yes. Okay, so let's do that instead of just purporting your beliefs to us. We already know what those are.
Have you verified the distance to the moon?
No,
Bro, we're not claiming that. Okay, that's not our claim.
Who did that?
Anyone with a ham radio sufficient to bounce?
That's not true. Are you getting that information directly from the moon, or are you getting that information from somewhere else?
How would you be able to tell?
Yeah, why don't you?
You are saying that you get a signal from the moon, from the radio. Are you getting that signal from the moon or from something else?
Right. Why don't you walk us through that process until you get to feet and inches? Go ahead. We'll wait for you. Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about feet and inches. So if you're not talking about feet and inches, then you're just saying something. Oh, people got radios. So, okay, walk us through the entire process, how you get to feet and inches and surface condition from that, please.
Nothing.
So let us make progress and establish that as we progress forward in this dialogue, his supposed appeals, his attempted arguments were insufficient. The first one was a non sequitur appeal to the moon. The second was an appeal to credulity. And the third was an evident self-contradiction, as Heretic just highlighted. That's where we are now. We asked him what is sufficient to prove the Earth is a sphere. All his latest appeals, that after we asked him that, and we let him complete the arguments, are insufficient. Period.
Game over.
I mean, this is too easy at this point. This is like,
the desired
crazy.
The desired effect was not achieved in any way. Like there's nothing that was brought forth.
That's okay.
That supports a globe in any way, other than showing us all and everybody listening on YouTube and all the other whatever channels, media that this is being live streamed on. That everyone heard you not have anything to back your non-existent claim.
That's way more than okay. It's W flat Earth, bro.
No, it's not. Do you know a single ham radio enthusiast that's a flat earther?
Well, we're
they
still
know
waiting
how
for you to
far the
present.
moon is.
Wait. I'm still waiting for you to present the. Sonny asked you to kind of walk through the process. Even I did. I was like, hey, well,
There are
for the
things
layman
that
out there, can you
test.
describe it?
My argument has been from the very beginning, for the last god dang how many hours, you don't use the horizon, you use celestial objects. The celestial objects.
You haven't determined that those are objects, brother. So
they are. You can bounce
not just because you say so, though. So it doesn't work. You don't just automate. This isn't like Monopoly. You don't just pass go and collect one free claim. It doesn't work like that. You have to build. You have to build on foundations. So you can't just say, "Well, I know they're objects." Well, we're going to need to see some verification of that. I told you, we're in the verification stage.
I got Ace Hardware on the line. They want to speak to you.
All right.
Remember, like you're going to have to build upon certain foundations, not just premises that you have. Like we're going to need to see this so that everyone can agree, and then we can build on top of that. You don't just automatically get the free claim that there's objects, rocks for things in the sky.
There are tons of people that have done the Earth, Moon, Earth bounce with their ham radios, okay? And you could do it too. No one's going to stop you from getting a ham radio license.
Go ahead and present the evidence and walk us through it like someone asked you to.
Like I fucking asked before. If you keep bringing it up, I'm going to keep asking every time. Walk me through the process all the way from when you get the signal or whatever, then you bring that process, walk it all the way till you get feet and inches on the surface of Earth.
Yeah, you're not going to get feet and inches. You're going to get miles.
Then you don't.
Same thing, ding dong.
Walk us
Oh my
through
God.
till you get miles.
Holy smokes. That was a little pedantic.
Walk it through that. Walk us through. You keep trying to support your claim. You keep walking into a deeper hole. So go ahead now and break down the whole process from beginning to end, bringing it down to what I said, feet and inches, which is what miles are.
4 miles, dude.
Come on, guys.
I'm talking to you, Tehconda.
There's many different claims about celestial objects, whether they're real or image or
we do one claim at a time. So why don't you try to make a case, not just saying, well, all these people proved it. Well, then there should be some proof out there that you can go pick out and present to us and walk us through how it works.
Why can't he answer the question? He goes, there's many claims. That's not an answer. That's a non-coherent answer to the questions that are asked. You keep diverting away from any question asked now.
You're responding like a politician now.
Yes, I know.
Come on, man. How does it work?
My claim is that the moon is a solid object that you can bounce radio waves off of, and by the delay in the signal,
so you haven't established that yet. So we've heard you say that already. We've already tried to address that. You're going to have to establish that now.
Again, back to the claims that I'd said. There's things that carry more weight to me. Things that I have observed.
You don't have to repeat yourself. We're now looking for you to build that foundation. We've heard what you said. Everyone heard you. It's fine. You don't have to repeat yourself.
Yes.
Now go ahead and prove or present, make a case, show us the evidence, give us the demonstrations. You got to go ahead and make that case now and build upon it. You need a foundation to build upon. So
again, it's not.
How it relates to Earth being a globe.
We've already heard you.
It's not hard to get a license to own a ham radio and operate a ham radio.
Really? But it's kind of hard to measure the diameter of the moon, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not really making a case. It's saying, well, you can just get a ham radio. Like,
yes,
you still haven't even walked anybody through how that works. There's still a lot of. I said there's some layman people who might not understand it.
Yeah, it's a little technical.
On Globe side as well, who maybe aren't familiar. Why don't you help educate them? Teach us how that works. Sunny has requested that 5 minutes ago.
It is a little technical. I posted a video. It's about an hour long. It gets into Earth, Moon, Earth.
Can you kind of explain it?
Okay, Tehconda.
It's.
I'll go with it. I give it to you. The Earth is a sphere rock, and they've played moon golf on it. What does this have to do with the Earth?
Yeah.
The moon.
The moon, that we can measure the distance approximately, 200,000 miles
Okay,
away.
that's what I said. I gave it to you that the moon is a space rock, and they've played golf on it and driven dune buggies on it. What does this have to do with whether or not the Earth is a spheroid?
Because the moon doesn't circle above me. It circles around. It goes around
and under. Oh yeah.
Yes.
You're interpreting you're interpreting the moon very wishfully.
You don't just get free claims here, brother. You have to establish these things first before you move on.
Any solid object that moves.
You haven't verified that that these things in the sky are solid objects.
The moon is. You can bounce radio waves off it.
But you haven't established that. Again, this isn't Monopoly. You don't just get one free claim and you get to pass go here. It does not work that way. You have to establish that this stuff is true.
Pieces of aluminum foil reflect radio waves.
Yeah. That's still a solid object. Okay, it doesn't matter if the moon's made of glass or rock.
Hasn't determined the moon is a solid object. No, we haven't determined that yet. It's just repeating it over and over and over again. Doesn't the weight of repetition doesn't form it into proof?
Yeah. Even if it is, you have to tell. You're telling a story about it. tehconda? How do you not hear yourself?
Can I explain then? Just one more.
I don't need explanation. In story time.
Tell us
Is
how
this story time?
Tell us how you determine the moon as a solid object. Tell us how you determine that.
When you point a radio dish at the moon and send signals to it, anyone who can see the moon, and not the people that can't see the moon, anyone who can see the moon can receive those signals. It scatters, it loses 200 decibels or more of energy. It's very faint, but anyone can detect those signals if they have the equipment to do so.
Okay.
So
and how does that
what
lead
type
to solidity? Go ahead, Ello.
What type of frequency is that? High, low?
There's 10
Ultra
gigahertz
high.
frequency. There's 144.
Is it ultra high radio waves?
They have a couple different bands that they use. Some of them use a whole ultra high 10 gigahertz. Some use 50 and 200 hertz, anywhere between 50 and 144.
So what type of signal bounces off the ionosphere, according to them?
I don't know. You tell me.
Radio wave signals.
Yes. Well, what frequencies?
Ultra, high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how do you know you're not bouncing off the ionosphere?
Because you don't get any bounce when the moon is not visible.
Stop the cap. You do get bounce. That's what they use the ultra high signals to bounce off the ionosphere. What are you talking
Yes, you get some off the ionosphere, but it's not going to get you the same. You're not going to get as far as you can with the.
Yeah, so you can actually prove that that's what's actually happening then, right? So
I got to step in here.
Sure.
If that's okay. I'm a ham radio operator.
Hey, great.
And yes, signals bounce off of something. And your statement about it only happens when the moon is visible, completely false. Absolutely
that's
false.
completely wrong.
By the way, I just want to point out we have a new person, Junja, in the chat. Rolls.
He's been here for a couple of days, but Jumba, if you want to get BC checked in, we can help you with that. But I wanted to hear a rebuttal from Tech. You got kind of quiet there. Bob had a good point. Did you want to respond?
You can bounce radio waves off of other things like the ionosphere, but you're not going to get all the way across, like, the Atlantic Ocean.
Is the ionosphere solid?
No.
Okay. Well, so how does that make the moon solid then?
Fair point.
Okay. Well, that was easy.
Yeah, sure.
Is this supposed to be an argument for sphericity of Earth?
Yeah,
the motion. Yes, the movement of the sun and the moon do not circle above me; they go around.
That's to do with the motion. That's to do with the motion, not bouncing radio signals off the sky.
And you're just saying that though. You haven't actually made a case and established that that's really what's happening. You're just saying, well, it's not doing this for sure. Based on what?
Bouncing the signal off the moon can give you the distance based on the delay.
But how does that say the moon goes under the ground, brother?
Just
kind of got. I have this.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't see the moon going under the ground. It's just like with boats, right? They say, "Oh, well, look, the boat's going down over the curve."
Well, if he's going to, even if he wants to say that it does go down underneath the curve, he's back to invoking the horizon, which he said he couldn't do for globe proof.
But it's different.
No, it's
different now.
Because it comes out on the other side of the horizon 12 hours later.
Brother,
12 hours later?
Classic.
So you can't use the horizon to determine the Earth's sphericity, except for when you can.
Yep.
That's this clown world.
It's a completely different example.
No, it's the same
You're invoking
horizon.
the horizon. So I'm going to go back to asking you the same thing. I'm going to go back to asking you the same thing. Is it geometric?
I'm not using the distance of the horizon. I'm using
the horizon.
Has to be geometric in order for any of the conclusions you just claimed to follow. So now we have to determine that again, which you said you could not do.
tehconda, when the moon and the sun rises to our view in the morning and sets in the evening, it is moving up and down and always moving consistently to the right. So it moves up and down at sunrise, sunset, moonset. and it moves to the right, which confirms its circular pattern above the Earth. Second, if you have at 3:32, I posted basically what happens with the inverse square law of light with your fairy tale moon of 240,000 miles away. If you would happen to use the inverse square law of light, which you can also use for the fairy tale, which is the planet Saturn, you will see that the moon would be 65,530 times brighter than you see it in the sky at night if you use the inverse square law of light, which it is an inverse square law of light. And so you have a circular motion of the moon and the sun around the Earth because of how it moves to the right as much as it moves down or moves up. You have the inverse square law of light, and then I would love for you at 34 minutes after the hour and also at 35 minutes after the hour. I posted from last month 2 videos that showed that the sun is not illuminating the moon. You should have line of sight in your fairy tale outer space. Both of those, it happens every single month. Both of those show that the sun does not directly light the moon. Therefore, the moon is self-illuminating. So I'm sorry, I gave you 3 evidences of the moon and the sun above us, but you don't want to accept it because it's part of your fairy tale. I would like for you to look at those 2 videos. They're 3 minutes and 2 minutes long, and tell me why the lit part of the moon is not looking directly at the sun as we're taught in the fairy tale.
Hang on. All right, I'm looking at the video titled God's Creation of Stationary.
That's the 3-minute one, exactly.
What are we looking for here? That the sun is not...
In that particular video, the sun is down at approximately 4:30 on the moon, and the moon is looking up at about 1:30, 2 o'clock. Line of sight would tell you that the lit part of the moon would be looking directly at the sun, which is lighting the moon, which we were taught in our fairy tale from age 5. That is before the full moon, and the one after down there, 35 minutes after the hour, is after the full moon on a morning when the moon is looking up at about 10:30 and the sun is down on the horizon about 8 o'clock. Line of sight tells us that you should have the lit part of the moon looking directly at the sun in your fairy tale. It is not. So you have to come to a conclusion that what you have been taught, like all of us were taught since age 5, if not sooner, was a fairy tale. Now, those of us in this server have come to the conclusion that we were lied to, and we accepted the lie, and we got rid of our cognitive dissonance. Someday, hopefully, God willing, you will get rid of your cognitive dissonance and you will join us.
Yeah, it won't work though because he doesn't come to conclusions; he comes to pre-conclusions.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, the ball, the globe, the oscillating spheroid, the oblate spheroid is all a conclusion before any evidence is shown to it. You conclude that it is a ball because you were taught it's a ball before you come up with any experiments, observations, tests. You conclude it, and everything you do from that concludes the ball. That is a problem, and that's one of the problems that the 85% of the world has. They have been told, hey, it's a ball, and it's tilted wobbly going out through an ever-expanding universe at these unbelievable speeds. And if I question it, I can't go to Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner because I'll be considered a nutcase. No, you will be considered the person that knows the truth and is telling people that their indoctrination was incorrect.
All right, I'm watching the videos. They're kind of interesting. I'll keep an eye out for it. I've seen the moon before during the day when you can see the sun and the moon.
My friend, line of sight.
That's what I'll look for. I've tried looking for it before. I've never seen this kind of discrepancy that they're trying to show in the video, but
it happens every single month. For recorded history, we just don't want to look into this. Globers don't want to look into the sky because it might destroy their fairy tale.
I base my belief in the globe based on what I see in the sky. So this is actually important. This is important. No, this would disprove it if accurate. Okay.
There's lots of anomalies up there, but listen, grasshopper, stick to the surface.
I don't think from the surface of a ball that I could tell that it's round. If the ball
Again, remember, brother, we've already said this like 15 times. We're not just flapping our eyelids at the surface of the Earth. Can you at least acknowledge that, so you don't have to repeat it again?
No, I still
actual
contend
down.
No, I don't think you can tell.
That's
I don't
what I'm saying.
think
If that's
you
like
can
saying,
tell
if
one way or
I'm
the
6
other.
foot and I measure how tall you are, you can't tell how tall I am by measuring it. That's
You can measure
a
someone
ludicrous
who's 6
statement.
foot. You can measure someone who's 6 foot. My height is
Well,
not.
what you're saying is
on-
that you
on
can't
refraction.
determine that by doing it with the Earth.
Yep.
Yeah. So why do you find it necessary to chant refraction then?
Because you can see refraction. You can see
Okay.
it.
And what does that have to do with seeing too far?
Exactly.
You find it necessary because you can't see the thing that you claim is there, so you got to go to an excuse instead of evidence.
Yeah, he claims nothing can be determined by line of sight, yet he knows he must chant refraction. He must make it known that he thinks everything in the distance is an optical illusion.
Because the refraction religion is tied into not trusting your senses at all. You have to go to an authority to tell you what you're seeing, an expert. You can't trust yourself. It's all tied in together.
It's the exact same explanation that flat
It's
Earth
tied
must
in
have.
together. Okay, are you disagreeing with what I'm saying? No, I don't think you would, because you have no rebuttal against what I said.
It's the exact same explanation for why a flat earther believes.
I wasn't talking about an explanation. So, yeah, once again.
It's not the same, though, because you're invoking something that you can't directly demonstrate. You're saying there's a ghost on the horizon, basically, that you don't see, but trust me, it's there. It's just because it's refracted that you don't see it. We're not invoking anything that we can't demonstrate like that. You are. That's the problem. You're saying that a fairy tale is being refracted. We're not doing anything like that.
It's the exact same. Okay.
No, it's not. I just told you how it exactly is.
I'll post it again. It's the exact same reason why one of these is hiding behind the horizon and one isn't.
Yeah.
Refraction.
We're not talking about things that aren't real, though. You're applying physical attributes to things that aren't there, or that at least you can't demonstrate that they're there, right? So what you're saying is basically we're looking out at a refracted globe, a refracted curved ocean. That would be tantamount to us saying that we're looking at refracted goblins or fairies or what have you, or whatever other mythical thing that you want to insert there. Same thing. We're not doing that. Only thing we'll say is refracted is stuff that's actually physically there, and that's not what you're doing.
It's the exact same.
Sorry, you can't just keep repeating yourself.
No, because it is.
Can I point out? Can I point out that the type of refraction that he's invoking is based on the alleged geometry? So if you don't view the alleged geometry, then how are you going to know how much refract what you're viewing by?
I would never use it to determine that. That's just not what I. Oh God! All right.
Can't use it to determine that Earth is a globe.
Here, I'll even use it on tehconda's terms. To even have the idea to believe the story of what's going on in the sky, you have to have a known curvature on Earth in order to believe that it's doing what it's doing, what you say it's doing in the sky.
Yeah, that's right. You need physical demonstration of the thing that you say is refracted in the first place.
Right.
Correct. Just like you pointed out, you can't have refracted goblins. You're going to need a goblin first to refract. So
And you
to refract that horizon, you're going to need a geometric horizon first to refract it.
Yeah,
So
and you can't walk away from the geometric horizon because your terrestrial refraction has 7/6R in it. You didn't make that up. It's too late. It's there.
Do you understand what I said, tehconda?
Yes.
Do you understand what I said? In order to believe the story of what's going on in the sky, you have to have a physical curvature that all of this stuff is going around to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we say once you falsify the radius, then you no longer have orbits. You no longer have an orbit of satellites. You no longer have an orbit of the moon. You no longer have the Earth orbiting around the sun. You no longer have the sun and the Earth and the moon shooting through space, going around a circular center point from the Big Bang. It's all gone, dude.
I've repeated myself too many times.
Way too many times. Way too many times.
And Creation Bear was showing how many times, like each one of those little aspects that was mentioned, it gets bludgeoned further and further down and deep into a hole in the ground and onto the flat surface where we actually are, becomes evident. It actually already is evident. It's been self-evident.
No curvature.
And so you are going against your own nature and your own senses that are built into you. You have to deny all of those things in order to come to this belief system that you have truly is a belief. We don't have belief. As you see, we're talking about objective, going out and doing observations, which are testing for drop over distance. Very simply, this has been done thousands upon thousands of times since I even first thought about flat Earth in 2017. Thousands of times.
Just judging by my own senses, the moon doesn't get smaller. It doesn't zoom away from me.
But you're also trying to say what the moon should or would or could be doing. And that was one of the first things I said, is that you don't know. I mean, not you in particular, but no one knows what the moon or the sun or the stars are. So you shouldn't be saying, well, it should, could, or would be doing X, Y, or Z. You don't know what those are to begin with. So
other object.
You're trying to compare them to objects, which we know what they are. You can go to a car, a dog, a human, and knows those things are objects. You can't go to the stars, the moon, the sun, and say those are also objects. So you can't make that comparison.
Even if it's just a light. Just like
what is that?
Jim, Mr. Waterworld 100 posted something about the brightness in lumens. It doesn't get significantly dimmer. You have an inverse squared law that it would lose if it got twice as far away from you. It would actually be a quarter of the brightness. So if it started out, let's say, approximately 4,000 miles away from me, and it zoomed away to 6,000 miles, it would lose almost half its brightness at that much. Yes.
But again, this is going back to you saying what the moon should or would or could be doing, and I disagree with that.
Doesn't matter what it is. It's brightness.
Yes, it does. You're saying what this thing should or would or could be doing.
Its
you don't know
brightness
what it
should
is.
decrease if it got further away from me.
You don't know what it is, though.
If it's just a light, it's
but
still.
You don't. That's not saying what it is. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say where it is, what it is, how it is, or any of these things. But you're saying, well, no, it should do what I say. No, I reject that.
So you're
Go ahead.
You're looking at an unverified thing in the sky, i.e., the moon, and you're interpreting from that you live on a sphere, right?
It's verified enough for my.
You haven't prevented any verification.
Yes,
As the kids would say, that's
Earth,
reaching.
moon, Earth, radio bounces suggest
You didn't verify that. No. I don't think you know what verification is. I've had to repeat over multiple times that we're in the verification stage. You definitely have not verified that. Sunday asked you to walk us through it. You didn't do that. We asked for citation. You presented a YouTube video that was an hour long. It didn't go through. So no, you haven't verified that. I just wanted to clear that up. Go ahead, Central.
Well, you're interpreting from what the moon does that the Earth must be a sphere.
And I was going to say, as the kids would say, that's called reaching.
No. I'm interpreting from what the moon does. That what the moon doesn't circle around or above.
That's not based off of anything. You actually haven't established that.
It doesn't appear to circle above me.
But that's not verification.
So this isn't even an argument for the Earth being a sphere.
No, he's got to
This
walk
isn't even
through.
an argument.
I'm sorry.
So this isn't even an argument for the Earth being a sphere.
It's deductive reasoning. It deduces.
No. The kids would call it.
Is it an argument for the Earth being a sphere or not?
It removes the possibility that the moon is circling above the flat Earth.
Okay, so walk us through that step by step, how you get from that to the other. So now you're going to have to take what you think you know about the celestial bodies, tie that in sequence, logical sequence, to where it gets to that it's not doing what you're saying it's not, because you're saying from that information, you're saying now that the moon isn't traveling over my head like it appears, but it's doing
He
something
said circling.
else. You're going to have to walk us through that, how you correlate the two.
Yeah, and can I point out, can I ask actually,
yes,
claims that this isn't a straw man, is it? Because I don't claim that the moon circles above.
That's fine if you don't claim it, but many flat earthers have proposed that the sun.
I haven't heard anyone in the servers today say that.
Okay, no one in the server today has said it, but it is.
You're the only one who's making claims about the path of the moon from the sky, right? And you're trying to tie that to a conclusion, or so I thought, that the Earth is a globe, because that's what we've been asking.
Well, if no one is willing to defend that position, then you've given up that
It's not
position.
necessarily our position.
Okay,
You're
good.
trying to.
Because
This
no
isn't.
one should have that position. No one should have the position that it circles above the earth.
This isn't pin the tail on a donkey. You can't bring goofy ideas and say, "Here, you defend them for me." It doesn't work that way. So we
That's
haven't
fine.
made the
No,
claim,
I'm not
and
asking you to
so
defend it. I'm actually asking you not to defend that position. It's a dumb.
Who's
it's a
making
dumb
that position, brother?
Plenty of flat earthers.
Well, I don't necessarily.
have, but I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you don't, because it's a really dumb position to believe that the sun and the moon
I don't
circle above a flat earth.
I don't necessarily agree that that's anyone's position. I've been in the server for quite a while. I don't hear flat earthers making that claim or taking that position. Seems like you're trying to pin the tail on the donkey and pawn off this idea. I also don't trust trust that most people have discernment. People will say, "Oh, I heard a flat earther say this, that, and the other." Well, are you so sure that those are flat earthers? I don't necessarily know if folks have as much discernment as we do. So I'd be more careful about just trusting random people on the internet calling themselves flat earthers.
Tehconda, you're confusing damage control propaganda with actual people.
I'm trying to get to the end of something, Hoss. Just 1 second, please. Okay.
OMG.
Yeah, so you said, yes, you're extrapolating from the behavior of the moon that the Earth is a globe.
I am extrapolating that the moon is not circling above me. It goes around.
You still haven't walked us through that step by step, though.
The next step is very simple. When I don't see the moon, other people can. So it is not circling under a flat Earth.
Okay, now you're going to tie that into.
Brother, I think Central wanted to finish up, but no one's saying that objects are going under the Earth.
Well, that is what he's saying. Essentially, you're saying it's not going around above us, so it's going around us, so it's descending below the ground and coming up again on the other side, right?
He's still using a straw man.
I just don't know why I can't get to the end of this. It's so simple.
Let Central cook, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, no.
It's very simple. It's very simple.
Yeah, so it goes down below the ground, comes up above the ground again, 12 hours or whatever later.
Yes.
Okay, so then you're obviously inferring that the Earth is a sphere from that, and you're inferring a geometric horizon. Again, right? The thing that you said you could not demonstrate, right?
The horizon's not necessary for...
yes, it is.
What is the
because
moon
what is
going
the moon
by?
set over? What is the moon set over?
Cooked. Absolutely cooked.
The moon... No.
Waiting for that.
Yeah. No, we all know the answer. There's a reason why you hesitated there to say it. That is exactly what the moon is, quote, going behind.
Yes.
Okay.
It sets over a horizon, but its distance is irrelevant. The distance of the horizon...
Again, we're not even talking about distance at this point.
None of that is relevant.
We haven't. You're the only one invoking distance at this point. The distance thing was earlier, because that's your guys' claim. The distance to the horizon, not ours. So we're talking about the physicality of it. That's what we're talking about. So make sure you focus.
Dude's lying, though, because the distance to the horizon is obviously relevant to whether it's geometric or not. That's why we bring it up and talk about it all the time, and he ultimately has to concede that he can't use the horizon to make his point. So that's not true.
I can't use the horizon to detect curvature, but if the moon goes behind the horizon, that's exactly what I would expect on a round Earth.
Okay, so then you're using the horizon to detect curvature by the moon.
Curvature. No, it's what I would expect to see on a round Earth. It's not determining a distance or shape of the or roundness of the curvature. It's detecting that it goes behind that. Yeah,
it's another nothing burger then.
No, because you're right. You're totally right. because the when the moon goes behind the horizon, it could be a very flat horizon. I could be on a flat Earth, but that would mean that the moon is literally going under a flat.
No. It
would be.
wait. It could be just like the boats, my friend, right? Because they say boats are going down over the curve.
Yeah, but
Well, we're saying they're down. Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
They're just going away from you. So it might appear like the boat is quote sinking when boats are made to not sink. But
Thank you, CB. Thank
you. So it doesn't imply that.
Hold on, 12 hours later in the eastern horizon.
Wait. That doesn't necessarily imply that the moon is going under the ground, just like the boat isn't going under the water.
No, because it can be demonstrated with lights in real life.
Getting ridiculous. All right, guys, have fun. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was a fucking good spiral. Holy shit, man.
He sounds like another happy customer. What the fuck did you do to him? Did you just
He got
explain it?
absolutely cooked. He got completely cooked.
He came in ready for Thanksgiving with a frozen turkey. We took his turkey and put it in a deep fryer, and he exploded.
Well, we fried it until there was nothing left. Literally, until it was just like carbon, black carbon burnt.
I'm curious why he left, though. What was the triggering moment? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He was trying to claim that the not actual moon goes behind the not actual horizon.
And that's what he's using for his not actual belief in the not actual globe.
Did anybody get around to asking him? I'm going to start asking this question. Now that somebody told me about it last night, or I thought about it. What works on a globe, and then what doesn't work on a stationary plane? Please explain.
What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.